The Fan.
Right side throw, touchdown! Kansas City! Kansas City wins the game!
Welcome into The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
Back-to-back best sports talk hosts as voted on in the Pitch magazine.
Live from the Fan Studios. Here's CDOT.
Let's do this. Another day, another dollar, another edition of The Drive. You are listening to The Drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. My name is Carrington Harrison. Very excited to be here with you on this wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. We are coming up very close to the start of this year's NFL Draft. We'll get you a lot of draft coverage. Today, we're going to do the draft a little bit different. So we have examined a lot of the key mock drafts, and we have tallied up all the players. Joshua Simmons is one of those players. Josh Connerly is one of those players. Walter Nolan on the defensive line is one of those players. We are going to head to Ohio State, Tennessee, Oregon, Ole Miss to take a closer look at some of the players who have been projected to play for the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll do that throughout the course of the show today. We'll get to the Royals here coming up in a little bit. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys of a couple of things. Number one, I need you listening to The Drive each day at 2 o'clock right here on 96.5 The Fan. And number two, I need you guys to tell one friend to check out the show. It'd be great if you guys told two people, but you know what? Beggars will not be choosers. I would appreciate if you guys just told one person to check out the show as we get you guys ready for the NFL Draft. All right, this is how I would like to start today's show. Do you guys remember when you were kids, or maybe your kid does this now, that you will be trying to talk to a kid and that child will put their fingers in their ear and start to make noise because they don't want to hear anything you are talking about. La, 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 la. They start to make noise. That's how I am today about the Kansas City Royals. I do not care how they won yesterday. Sure, it was not pretty yesterday. And if you want to poke holes in their win that went to the 11th inning against the Colorado Rockies, you can do that on your own time. Not in this house. That is not what I will participate in. I don't care how the Royals do it against the Rockies. I don't. But what I do know is the Royals need to win this series by any means necessary, and they got the first one. You got to figure out a way to win one game on either Wednesday or Thursday, and you got Reagan's going up on Thursday, and today the pitcher for the Colorado Rockies has an 8 ERA. I don't care how. All I want you to do is finish the job. I don't want this to be a series like some of the other ones that we've seen. You win the first, you lose the second, you got an important rubber game, you then drop it, and we're sitting here and we're like, how in the world did you lose a series to the Colorado Rockies? I don't want it. I don't care how they won yesterday. I don't care if it was pretty. I don't care if you're unhappy. I don't care if you turned it off early because the Royals have frustrated you. I don't want to hear it. I only want to hear that they did what they were supposed to do against the Colorado Rockies, and that is simple. That is win by any means necessary. We'll get to Patrick Mahomes coming up momentarily. Patrick Mahomes met with the media for the first time since the Super Bowl loss back in February against the Philadelphia Eagles, but you guys know the rules. If we lead the show with the Kansas City Royals, that can only mean one thing. Hit me, Rob.
We're where you want to be. Baseball with the Royals. If you want to be having a great time.
Carrying today's Random Royals lineup takes us back to the year 20 and 21. If you'll remember, the Royals got off to a red-hot start that season following the COVID year before falling off. On this date in Royals history, the Royals beat the Tigers 6-2 to move to 11-7. Here was your lineup for the day. Leading off at second base, Whit Merrifield.
Okay.
Batting second, the first baseman, Carlos Santana.
Okay.
Batting third, the catcher, Salvador Perez. Batting fourth, the right fielder, Jorge Soler.
I got a feeling this is about to take a wild turn.
Batting fifth, the designated hitter, Ryan O'Hearn.
How did I know?
Batting sixth, the third baseman, Hunter Dozier. Batting seventh in left field, Andrew Benintendi.
I remember him.
Batting eighth in center field, Michael A. Taylor. And batting ninth, the shortstop, Nicky Lopez. The Royals beat the Tigers on this date 6-2, but behind 5 2/3 strong from Mike Minor as the Royals beat Casey Mize and the Detroit Tigers.
Let me play for you guys what Patrick Mahomes had to say earlier today as he met with the media. This is the first time that he's met with the media since the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl to the Philadelphia Eagles. This was the most important and intriguing thing that I thought he had to say today, and something that admittedly I had not thought of from this perspective. Patrick Mahomes is talking about the continuity in the wide receiver room. That is not something that this offense has had a lot over the last half decade or so.
I mean, obviously everything looks great right now. I mean, getting the guys back healthy, as far as Rasheed and having Hollywood fully healthy and Xavier in year two, I think the offense has a chance to be really, really good. It's just about keeping building. I'm excited to kind of have these guys again, just with we've had a lot of turnover in the receiving room, and it seems like the core group will be back in its entirety. So the goal is to try to build on it and get even better and try to get back to some of the explosive passing plays that we've done in years past.
I think that's a really, really important part of this team, and maybe more specifically this wide receiver room. I think the Chiefs' theme this offseason has been continuity. The Chiefs didn't really stray too far outside of the nest. Everything that the Chiefs wanted was in-house, and they simply had to go out and they had to retain those players. Now, they didn't have an internal option for left tackle. They went out to go get that with Jalen Moore and signed him to a 2-year deal. But when it came to left guard and moving on from Joe Thuney, they had an in-house option with Kingsley Suamataia and Mike Caliendo. When you look on the defensive side, where have they thought for the most part to go? It has been about keeping their own players and keeping that continuity. I hadn't really thought about it from this perspective. There haven't been a lot of years since the Tyreek Hill trade where the Chiefs have brought back their number one wide receiver, or their number one wide receiver was healthy the next year. Sure, 2 years ago, Rashee Rice was your number one wide receiver. He then got injured. You had to have a new number one wide receiver. You had Juju, then Juju was gone. You had DeAndre Hopkins, then DeAndre Hopkins was gone. You added Hollywood Brown and expected him to be a major piece of what you were doing offensively. He then got hurt in free agency. So for this team, that continuity, I think, is really, really important to this team. And Rob, honestly, it's not something that I really thought about with this team.
I honestly was thinking about this when he said that. When was the last time the Chiefs had that? I don't know they've had that in a long time. Like, with the three major pieces being guys who are coming back. Because we're going into last year, Hollywood Brown was a new piece. Xavier Worthy was a new piece. The year before that, Rashee Rice was a focal point of the offense. He was a new piece. The year before that was the Tyreek Hill trade. The whole room was new. Before that, there was Tyreek Hill. They lost Sammy Watt. Like, I wonder when the last time the Chiefs had that level of continuity. Because it feels like, and the draft made me think of this, it feels like every year around draft time, me and you find ourselves arguing about wide receiver. It's a tale as old as time on this show. We argue about wide receiver in April because the Chiefs always seem to be needing a new one, and there's a lack of continuity in the room. Me and you are still kind of disagreeing on wide receiver, but 1, 2, and 3 are set in stone, and I hope what we heard about last year in St. Joe, more dynamic, more explosive, more deep shots, all that stuff before the injury bug hit, is something that could actually happen to this team, because there's been one constant me of you had said this offseason. I want Patrick Mahomes to look like Patrick Mahomes again, and that means being more explosive, and hopefully that continuity leads to that.
Usually what happens with the wide receiver room is they're usually trying to search something to make up for what they've lost. When you lose Juju Smith-Schuster in free agency, you go out and you try to make a move to replace him. When you lose Tyreek Hill, you go sign MVS to a deal. This is the first time that in all of their skill position rooms, They are adding to what they already have and not taking away. When we're talking about running back, you have Isaiah Pacheco, you have Kareem Hunt. We are now talking about them adding a running back into the mix. You look at tight end. Travis Kelce is going to be back. Noah Gray is also going to be back. Jarrett Wiley should be back from injury at some point this season. If you go get a tight end, it is building on what you already have at the position. If you look at their wide receiver room from last year and what we expected it to be, Rashee Rice, I'll share it with you next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
The grass pad man has all the seed you need. Now who can make your lawn thick, lush and green? The grass pad man can. He has grass seeds for everybody's plans. Dogs and kids in your yard playing hard. After the fun and the sun, you gotta reseed your lawn. So come on down to the grass pad. The grass pad's high on grass.
Need to sell your house in Kansas City but not sure what the best option is? Selling a home, especially when dealing with foreclosure, divorce, job relocation, or an inherited property, can feel overwhelming. That's why I don't just make offers. I help homeowners understand all their options so they can make the right choice with no pressure and no obligation. I'm Rex, a local homebuyer and resident right here in Kansas City. Whether you're looking for a fast cash sale or just want to explore your choices, I'll walk you through the pros and cons of selling to me or listing with an agent. If selling directly is your best move, I'll offer you a fair cash price and a closing timeline that fits your needs in as little as 7 days or on your schedule. No repairs, no commissions, no hidden fees. Just a transparent, hassle-free process so you know exactly what to expect. Let's talk. Call 816-330-6000 or visit rexbuyskc.com for a free, no-pressure consultation. Rex Buys KC, helping homeowners make informed decisions with confidence.
I'm at a smoothie bar asking people if they'd switch smoothies with me for $574.
Oh, I'll switch.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
That's a headache.
Nope, it's painless.
Oh, so it's easy money.
Yep, check Allstate first and you could save hundreds on quality home insurance today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Not available in every state. Based on the national average annual savings for new home insurance customers surveyed in 2023 who switched to Allstate and reported savings. Savings vary.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2024 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 5/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store single line activation on qualifying plan. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I'm Jenna Fisher.
And I'm Angela Kinsey.
And together we have the podcast Office Ladies.
Just because we finished rewatching The Office does not mean we're going anywhere.
Every Wednesday, we'll be sharing even more exclusive stories from The Office and our friendship with brand new guests. Plus, you can revisit all the Office Ladies rewatch episodes every Monday with new bonus tidbits before every episode.
So follow and listen to Office Ladies on the free Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Follow the station on Instagram at TheFan965 for giveaways and behind-the-scenes content.
Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we are going to head to Ole Miss. We are going to head around the country to kind of take a closer look at some of the players who have been mocked to the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's talk national NFL draft, and then we'll focus in on the Chiefs coming up momentarily. So, at this point, I believe that you guys know the draft order, but if you don't, let me inform you. Tennessee has the number 1 overall pick. Cleveland has the number 2 pick. The Giants, number 3. New England, number 4. And Jacksonville, number 5. Now, we think that we have a pretty clear picture of who some of these selections are going to be. Cam Ward, number 1 overall. Travis Hunter, number 2 overall. Abdul Carter, number 3 overall to the New York Giants. And that's where things get interesting. Now, every person that mocks the NFL draft has Will Campbell going to the New England Patriots. He is a very talented offensive lineman from LSU. But if you remember the audio clip that we played yesterday from Todd McShay, he's not super high on Will Campbell. Here's what he said.
People in the other draft rooms are like, pew, 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 yes, yes.
Right.
Because, yeah, go ahead, take Tet. Take Will Campbell. Because
Right.
I'm talking to teams, and they don't, like, Tet and Will aren't sniffing the very top, where we've got other guys. Obviously, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. But now we got a quarterback who's in not a great quarterback class that no one else is really worried about. Now we've got a wide receiver in not a great wide receiver class that nobody else is really worried where he goes. Okay? Now we got an offensive tackle and a tackle class. I told you, talking to NFL people, 5th or 6th offensive tackle a year ago. Okay? Quarterback would have been 5th or 6th last year. Offensive tackle would have been 5th or 6th last year. Wide receiver would have been 6th last year.
Will Campbell last season would have been the 4th or 5th offensive lineman that came off of the board. So if you were looking at last season, the 5th offensive lineman came off the board at 18. We're now talking about using the 4th overall pick to draft that player. That seems like a problem to me. This is my question. What is the argument against taking Ashton Genty at 4 if you're New England? Because I can make a pretty strong argument in taking him with the number 4 overall pick. Look at the weapons New England has. This is their skill positions. Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson at wide receiver. They overpaid for Stephon Diggs, who is now playing for his 3rd team in 3 seasons and is coming off a significant leg injury. You got Demario Douglas, Kayshon Boutte, and Hunter Henry. Those are the offensive weapons that you have decided to put around your potential franchise quarterback in Drake May. Now, I know running back value, positional value, you don't want to take a running back that high. But for teams that take a running back in the area that I'm talking about, I mean, it usually kind of works out. So these are the last 5 running backs who have been selected in the top 10. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and Leonard Fournette. That's the 5. I mean, drafting Jahmyr Gibbs with the 4th overall pick in this year's draft class doesn't sound like that bad of an option to me. Drafting Christian McCaffrey in this year's draft class doesn't seem that bad to me. If you want to go back one more, Ezekiel Elliott was a top 5 pick. If you drafted Ezekiel Elliott with the 4th overall pick and you're New England, is that a bad thing to pair with your quarterback? I understand the argument about positional value, and for the most part, I am on you guys' side. But I do think that we overthink it a little bit. Just draft a player that you think moves the needle for your team and a player that you think can help. And you are not telling me that you would draft Armarius Mims with the 4th overall pick when he went 18 last year to the Cincinnati Bengals. Not when you got a chance to get maybe the best skill position player in this year's draft class. This is where I think we go a little bit overboard on running back and trying to devalue their position. We're talking about a team last year in the New England Patriots that ran it 446 times. They gave Ramondre Stevenson 200 carries last year, and they threw it to him 50 times. He's the most important player in your offense. Is that a bad thing to now make that Ashton Jeanty, who was the best college running back we've seen since Reggie Bush? I don't think that's a bad option if you're the New England Patriots. I don't know why in every single one of these mocks, they have them taking who would have been the 19th, 21st overall pick last year instead of taking arguably the best skill position player in this draft in Ashton Jeanty. I think we are now going a little bit too overboard with positional value, especially in a draft class in which we don't think that it's incredibly strong. In a draft that we don't think there's a lot of stars or high-end players, the Patriots got a chance to take one of those high-end players, then take them at 4. I would take Ashton Jeanty if I'm the New England Patriots. If you're trying to give your quarterback the best possible options, you got to really sell me on why Ashton Jeanty for their offense is not the best possible option.
I don't want to have the positional value argument because we both know the positional value. Jeanty at 4 is nonsense for positional value. But do you know what I think we also overthink? Best player available. Every GM will tell you they want the best player available in their pre-draft press conference. Do we think Jeanty's the 4th best player in this draft? I don't, and I think Jeanty's good. I know I hate running back, but Jeanty's a good player. I don't think he is the 4th best player in the draft, period.
Who do you think it is?
I actually think the answer is either Mason Graham or Armand Mimbo.
Okay.
Mimbo, I think, in a weird twist of fate, I'm going to stand back here and tell you that the Missouri tackle is the best tackle in the draft. He's an athletic freak.
But you and I both know that if Mimbo was in last year's draft class, he'd be like the 23rd overall pick last year.
I would also say that
and now we're advocating to take that player at 4 for this upcoming year. So that's why I think we are having these arguments about positional value, but we're also not arguing, wait, you're telling me to take who I believe is a mid-round prospect using a top 5 pick instead of a player where I think that Ashton Jeanty in most draft classes, would be the best running back on the board. I think I'd rather have the best running back in a draft class than have in this year's draft class the best offensive lineman.
I also think it's a little unfair to take it when you compare it to previous draft classes. You have to take each draft in its own vacuum. You really do. And you know what this draft has? A lot of depth at what position, Carrington? Running back. If you take Mimbo at 4, he's what I think is the best tackle in the draft. I don't think Will Campbell's better than Mimbo. If you take Mimbo at 4 and at 36 or whatever your second round pick is, you take Omarion Hampton, Travion Henderson, Quishon Judkins. Pick one of the running backs the Chiefs had talked about, Dylan Sampson. Are you better or worse than Genty and a tackle at 36? I think that's the conversation. It's not a slap in Genty's face to say, hey, Genty, you're a 89 in Madden, but I can get an 82 in Madden in the second round. There's a much larger gap at offensive line, defensive line, corner at pick 4 than there is running back. And maybe I'm just explaining positional value in a different way, and that's fine. But I think in this draft, you got to take each draft in a vacuum. Running back is so deep. Don't worry about where offensive lineman number 1 would go in last year's draft. Take him where he fits in this year's draft.
But this is where I think that we've gone a little bit too overboard. Someone on the text line says, taking a running back in the first round is always stupid. There isn't enough of a difference between RB1 and 15th running back. Sure, the running back might be good, but you don't win anything, so who cares? We watch the NFL. You're telling me that you don't notice a difference on Sundays and having Jahmyr Gibbs and having Chase Brown as your running back? There's not a difference between those two backs. The Chiefs have Isaiah Pacheco. There's not a noticeable difference in having Isaiah Pacheco and Josh Jacobs on your team. There's not a noticeable difference in the quality of player that you were getting between those two. So what I'm saying is, we're not talking about you think that Ashton Genty is a good prospect. I think he is the best prospect at it. And usually the running back that we think is the best running back prospect normally turns out to be really, really good in the National Football League. We don't normally, that's not really a position group that we miss a whole lot on if you think that guy is special. Rob, you and I watch a lot of college football. We thought Ezekiel Elliott was going to be really good in the league. He turned out to be really good. Christian McCaffrey, you just knew that he was going to be a special player. He turned out to be a special player. Bijan Robinson, can't miss prospect out of Texas. Last year, he was 3rd in the NFL in rushing and averaged 5 yards a carry. I think that's what Ashton Genty is. That's what I think he is. I think he is a 1,200-yard rusher for next year, a 1,300-yard rusher. And for a team that had no pop, no sizzle offensively, no nothing last year, I don't think that taking the very talented running back is a bad positional value argument. If you're telling me that you think this is a generational draft class, the way that Mike Renner did, and you and I both think that about this draft class, you got to take in a generational draft class, there is one running back that is still even more generational than that, even more special, has separated himself more than all of those players. Just throwing that out there. I would seriously consider, if I'm them, I would very seriously consider taking him with the number 4 overall pick, especially if you're talking about a player in Will Campbell who a lot of people think projects better to be a guard. You're taking them now left and right guard with the 4th overall pick. I can't do it. That's not the way I would build my team. Not at all. It's not the way I would build my team. I'm taking the generational running back. I'm taking the best running back in this year's draft class. I think the Genty's going to go top 10. We're just really trying to figure out the range in which he could potentially go. I think it's somewhere probably between 5 and 8 in this class. I don't think the Patriots are going to take him. And if they do, it's just going to be a shock. I haven't seen anybody mock him to the New England Patriots. It seems like Ashton Genty's zone is probably somewhere between 5 and probably the lowest he is going to go in 10. I think that Ben Johnson, who had David Montgomery, who had Jahmyr Gibbs, is going to try to create that same dynamic with the offense with Caleb Williams. I think 10 is as low as we're talking about Ashton Genty going. So we're going to do something pretty cool today. We are going to head around college football and take a closer look at some of the prospects that could potentially be drafted by the Chiefs in round 1. We're going to take our first stop for the day and be joined by Jake Thompson, who covers Ole Miss for On3 Sports, to take a closer look at Walter Nolan and Trey Amos, 2 very talented defensive players. Jake, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. Let's start with this because I've never asked somebody this before. What is it like to cover Lane Kiffin day in, day out?
Well, as somebody who obviously being down here was very familiar with him with his time at Alabama and Tennessee and then obviously over to Southern Cal and just kind of that persona and that character and then obviously getting spoofed by a few comedy people. He was that larger-than-life college coach that, you know, Ole Miss never really had that kind of guy. They never had that like Nick Saban or lightning rod guy. And then, December 2019, all of a sudden, Ole Miss AD Keith Carter pulls the trigger and brings Lane Kiffin to us. And, it's been surreal to kind of be here and watch how he was when he started coming here from Boca and FAU to where he is now, 6 years. This will be his 6th year this fall at Ole Miss. And now Ole Miss is the answer to the trivia question of what is Lane Kiffin's longest tenured coaching job, which nobody I think saw coming. So it's been fun, and there's not really a dull day covering him, but it is interesting how we've all kind of get put in the spotlight of college football now.
I want to ask you about Walter Nolan. We'll do that coming up in a bit, but I have to get your thoughts on Jackson Dart. Do you see him as a quality starter, a potential franchise quarterback in the league?
I do, and of course, maybe that's because I'm a little biased, just having covered him and been around him, seeing him day to day, and seeing what he can do. And those college quarterbacks, it's always so hit or miss, especially like the big names. Some make it and some pan out, and then it's the ones you get taken late Saturday or late Friday that shine better than the guys that get taken on Thursday. But I do feel like he has the tools to make it. It's nice to kind of have to keep an eye on the top 10 again for an Ole Miss player, especially quarterback. Ole Miss hadn't had that since Eli, 22 years ago. But I think whoever takes him, and I know he's been floated as high as the 3rd pick to the Giants to, I think 40th or, early Friday. I think the team's going to make a nice selection there. And it'll be fun to see the positioning and what teams do to try to get him and how they got him. That'll be the story that's most interesting.
If I had to guess, I think he's going to be a first-round pick. This seems like a move for the New Orleans Saints to me. I know there's been a lot of buzz about them going to get Shedeur Sanders. I could see a scenario in which maybe the Saints go best player available at 9, and then they're aggressive in trying to trade back into the first round and try to get Jackson Dart somewhere in that 20 to 25 range.
As a New Orleans Saints fan, that's nice to hear that that's still kind of a possibility. That's kind of the strategy that I've seen a lot of. He's at 9, but the Saints do have more pressing needs, especially defense and now offensive line with Ramchick retiring. But, I then see them trading up late Thursday night, tomorrow night, or first thing Friday to higher up to better spot and get Dart. I think that's the move. If he goes number 9 or somewhere in the top 10, that'll be great and kind of even more surprising to me.
I'm reading right now his NFL draft page on NFL.com. They have his NFL comparison as Gardner Minshew. Certainly not what you want for a first or second round pick. You watched every snap of his college career. When you see him play, who do you see? Who do you think his NFL comparison is?
It's tough. I always seem to do that poorly in terms of comps, but I do think he has more tools to succeed. And Gardner Minshew, he's a high school alum of mine. We both went to the same high school, so I love him. But I think Dart's got more of a ceiling than Gardner, and I know Gardner's been put in some tough situations, in his career. But I don't know what the best comp is because I've seen so many too, and it's hard for me to kind of nail. I know he likes to model himself after Jalen Hurts. I might see that a little bit, especially in the toughness, in the running game especially. So if I had to kind of put a marker on one, I'd say maybe Jalen Hurts just because he's kind of forced that issue and that narrative.
Right now, we're talking to Jake Thompson, just getting a closer look at Ole Miss and some of the prospects that they have. They have a couple that have been mocked to the Chiefs. Walter Nolan is one, and Trey Amos at corner is one. Let's start with Walter Nolan. What is it about you like? What is it about him that you like as an NFL prospect?
When he transferred in from A&M, it was obviously the key get for Kiffin in this past, last year's transfer cycle in December of 2023 to regroup and rebuild, and they got him, and he was nothing but as advertised. He was a monster up front. He helped combine for 14 tackles for loss. Just, he really kind of dictated and allowed teammates to thrive in the statistical category because teams would plan against him, leading to having to run guys into other parts of that top offensive Ole Miss defensive line with Jared Ivey, McGee's, Princely. But Nolan, I think, can thrive. He's just got to get in the right defensive system. And I've loved seeing him with the Chiefs. Obviously, they know what success is, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and they love them some SEC defensive players. So I think that'd be a tremendous fit, and I think they know how to use him, at his utmost potential.
Do you see him as somebody who has the ability to get to the quarterback at the next level, or do you think he's primarily somebody who's going to be used to stop the run?
I could see it. I think initially he'll be best at stopping the run because I just think they're going to kind of double team him in terms of preventing that rush. But he's somebody that, at least here under Randall Joyner, the defensive line coach, and Pete Golding, the defense coordinator, he developed so much in just a short amount of time that he was here that I felt like if he gets under the right, tutelage or right mentor or right coach, they can continue that development. I could see him becoming that guy that's living in the backfield sooner than later.
He seems like one of those players, and I think this happens every year toward the back half of the first round. You could tell me that Nolan goes 25 overall. You could tell me that he goes 55 overall. Just once you kind of get to that like pick 27, close to the back half of the first round, it feels like anything is possible.
Yeah, no, and, ever since, even when the season ended at the Gator Bowl and draft prep and, we started focusing on draft talk, Nolan had always been kind of the first Ole Miss guy to go off the board. We felt he was that first-round guy. Darts, stock kind of up and down and then a little bit down at the end of the season with Ole Miss's success and then struggles, not making the playoffs, and that's just how that goes. The quarterback's tied to the team's success. So Nolan was kind of that guy that everybody thought, okay, he'll go that Thursday night. And then Dart just had this tremendous draft process showing at Mobile, and then the draft and the combine and pro day here, he just kind of overtook Walter. But I still see Walter as a first-round guy. And, yeah, mid to late tomorrow night, it wouldn't surprise me wherever he goes.
Right now, we're talking to Jake Thompson for a couple more minutes. He covers Ole Miss. They have a couple of players who have been mocked to the Chiefs. One is the defensive tackle, Walter Nolan. Another one is Trey Amos. He plays in the secondary. Tell us a little bit more about Trey. Is he a guy that you think is worthy of a first-round pick?
Yeah, he was also kind of the rumblings of would he break through to Thursday in that first round, or would he be kind of a high Friday second-round guy? He always was kind of right at that bubble, that borderline. But for Ole Miss, he was probably the best get after Nolan in terms of the defensive side of the ball, getting him to transfer over from Alabama. The Ole Miss secondary has been always kind of a little question marky, so to speak, especially with depth and if you get one guy injured. But Amos came in and he just made that position in that room so much better and showed constantly flashes of what he could do. And I strongly think he's got the skill set, the body type, everything to succeed and continue that to the NFL level. And I wouldn't be surprised either if he snuck in, towards the end last night or immediately come Friday night.
Do you think he's somebody that's better suited for the inside or the outside?
I think he played well on the outside. I like him on the outside. I didn't see much of him here on the inside, but he was very successful on the outside here.
Is he a guy that is kind of a ball hawk that's going to kind of force pass breakups, force interceptions? Just what kind of style of corner is he?
He is definitely that. He led the team with 13 pass breakups, and then tied with 3 interceptions this year. Wherever that ball was, he was. And so, no, ball hawk is probably especially the best superlative for him. And that's probably what is getting all the NFL guys, scouts, executives' eyes, too, is what he can do when that ball gets in the air down the field.
It seems to me, and you certainly know these two players better than me, it sounds like Nolan to me is the better NFL prospect, that if both of these players are on the board, Nolan to me sounds like the player I would take more of a chance on than Amos at 31.
Yeah, no, I think defensive line has just kind of recently had more success consistently. You have those guys that are broken out in the secondary here and there, but I do feel like if you're staring at it and you had your pick, and it was both of them on the board, I would definitely go, let's get Nolan, let's build up that defensive front first, and then if you had a chance to later get Amos, I'd get him. But, yeah, Walter would be my first pick.
That is Jake Thompson joining us on the show today. He covers Ole Miss from On3 Sports, taking a closer look at a couple of their players. Walter Nolan has been mocked to the Chiefs. Also, Trey Amos, a very talented corner for the Rebels. Jake, great stuff, man. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate y'all. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Absolutely. That's Jake Thompson joining us on the show today. He covers the Ole Miss Rebels. Trey Amos, to me, just doing my background and reading more about him, Rob, he just sounds like a second-round pick to me. And no shade at all towards Amos. Could end up being a very, very good player. I would be surprised if he ends up being a round 1 pick. He seems like a guy who is perfect for somewhere between 45 and 55. A team is going to take a good college player with length, versatility, who maybe doesn't project to be a cornerback 1 kind of type, but seems like a guy who has a chance to be a very productive starter, a number 2 type of corner. I don't think he's going to be a first-round pick.
I think he will go higher than this person went, but I think you'll understand the analogy. Remember when the Chiefs drafted Brandon Flowers? I remember thinking Brandon Flowers is a good corner at a good school in Virginia Tech, and he's going to be a good pro. I'd ever think, oh, that guy's going to be a superstar. That guy's Sauce Gardner. That guy's Deion Sanders. That guy's Darrelle Revis. No, you never thought that about Brandon Flowers, but you knew in the right situation, he will be just a good pro. That's kind of how I feel about Trey Amos. Like, if the Chiefs took him at 31, I wouldn't be angry about it. Bolster the secondary. Let's go to work. You have upcoming contracts with McDuffie and Williams and Watson. Like, build for the future. But it does feel like a guy who's going to go like 39 to the Patriots or something, and you're like, well, that guy's just going to be a good pro for the next 7 to 8 years.
Yeah, I don't think Amos is that high of a prospect, but I definitely get the analogy. Like, I would say that's kind of closer to the kid from Michigan that just, you and I both watched him in college. Like, that's an NFL corner, a really good prospect that I think a team's going to be able to get somewhere in the teens. I'm not sure if I look at this guy like that. I think McDuffie was kind of one of those players. Like, you look at how good he was in the Pac-12, you felt very good about that ability to translate to the next level, and obviously he did. Amos just feels like a prototypical second-round pick. So obviously, happy that we had him on, but Nolan to me seems like the boom or bust. He's a big, talented, physical defensive tackle from the SEC. I can give you 10 examples of that guy working. I can give you 10 examples of that guy failing. It's about going to the right system, going to the right scheme, and staying healthy. He is the definition to me of a back half of the first round kind of selection. A guy that gets picked 28th overall. That guy, if he works, great, but there's usually a high bust rate, I would say, when it comes to those kinds of players. Coming up on the other side, I think we are learning a very valuable lesson so far in the NBA playoffs. I'll tell you what that is. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for K-State Athletics. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Don't let clogged drains slow you down. Call Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Rooter today for our $79 mainline drain clearing special. The pros at Hamilton will inspect your drains with video camera technology to pinpoint exactly what is needed to clear those clogs and help prevent expensive drain repairs. The expert technicians at Hamilton are ready 7 days a week to solve your problem the right way, the first time. Over 40 years experience and more than 8,000 five-star reviews ensures your peace of mind. Visit callhamilton.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number 2025-11121.
Has your home been on the market without success? An expired listing can feel frustrating, but it doesn't have to be the end of your journey. The Sharp Homes team specializes in turning things around. The Sharp Homes team can give you options. Do you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold? Contact them to discuss their instant offer program. In fact, contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp with the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. You can Google them at Sharp Homes Team or visit them at homesforsaleInKC.com and start packing.
If severe weather hit you last year, don't worry, Century Roofing is here. We have extended our free material upgrade sale on all roof replacements to celebrate our 35th anniversary. We'll provide an in-depth inspection to determine if enough damage exists to warrant filing a claim with your insurance company. See for yourself why Century Roofing has been voted Best of Johnson County for the 3rd year in a row. Trust the pillars of strength, KC-based and female-owned. Century Roofing, KC.com.
Century Roofing, trust the pillars of strength.
As America's leading business lender, Bank of America is on your corner and in your corner, right here in Kansas City. With $215 billion in business loans and over 3,700 business specialists across the nation, we help businesses thrive so communities prosper. What would you like the power to do? Learn more at bankofamerica.com/local business. Bank of America, official bank of FIFA Club World Cup 2025. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation, all rights reserved.
I think one of the things that patients don't realize is that when they get a joint replacement, that's not a lifetime treatment option. And they're probably, if they are a younger patient, signing up for multiple surgeries down the road.
As a physician and medical director for QC Kinetics, Dr. Caravelli's seen a pattern of trending joint pain. Prolonged medication, steroids, then surgery, possibly another surgery.
So a lot of our patients are trying to avoid or put off surgery, and this is the treatment that can help them do that.
QC Kinetics extracts your body's healing substances, concentrates them back into your aching joints to help heal and restore those areas, providing lasting relief.
Oh, I love being able to tell my patients, before we do this surgery, let's try another option. Let's see if this is right for you, because now they might not have to have surgery at all.
Call today for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299.
A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to really stand out. That's where True Green comes in. They're the official lawn care treatment provider of the PGA Tour, so they know a thing or two about keeping grass looking like a fairway. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think, and they'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They'll come back between visits to make it right. Don't wait. Head to truegreen.com today. Let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6812. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6812. That's 800-575-6812. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This afternoon, expect showers and thunderstorms with a high of 76.
Weather brought to you by Robert Half. Our recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI will find you the skilled candidates you want. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today.
Be sure to follow The Drive on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
This next topic is an NBA topic, but can be applied to all of the other sports. You know, one thing that the NBA playoffs, I think, always reveals: when you got a chance to win a ring, you better win it. Because for most franchises in the NBA, and this applies in the NFL, this applies in baseball, this applies in all sports, you don't get nearly as many chances as you believe you are going to have. Sometimes you don't have the right mix. Sometimes a key player gets injured, and that is a big reason on why you don't win the championship. There's a lot of reasons on why teams fail. Sometimes it is their own doing. Sometimes sports just happen. But I'm looking at the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that won a championship a handful of years ago. They are not close to getting back. In fact, the Milwaukee Bucks have not won a playoff game since 2022. We're not talking about an NFL team that hasn't won a playoff game. We're talking about an NBA team. They have not won a playoff game since 2022. They make a trade to go get Damian Lillard. He hasn't been healthy. He missed game one. It's over. It's over for the Milwaukee Bucks. The Denver Nuggets. A couple of years ago, we were talking about Denver being a dynasty. Denver's about to lose their series to the Clippers. They're going to have to make a significant trade at the end of this season, in which they're going to have to either get rid of Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. Denver won their championship when the window was open. They won their ring. They broke through. Congratulations, Milwaukee. And now it feels like you got to do a massive shakeup to get back to that point, even though you have two of the 5 best players in the world on your team. Fans always think, oh, we got next year. Oh, we really got a 10-year window. No, you don't. Even in that 10-year window, you maybe have 2 or 3 really strong chances of winning the championship where everything aligns. Your best players playing at a high level. You got the right supporting cast around them. You got the right coaching. The rest of the league breaks the right way. The injury health. All of those things align yourself perfectly, and it becomes your year. I don't know if there's a sport that embodies that more than the NBA playoffs. Just watching Milwaukee yesterday, they went from being a championship level team to they might get swept by the Indiana Pacers just overnight. I mean, they've tried everything. They change coaches. They make a trade to go get this guy. Like, it's not like they've sat on their hands the last couple of years. They're just not close anymore to winning a championship. I always say that your window is never open as long as you think it is. That's even more true in the NBA. I mean, you can go from 1 year, people think you're going to go back to back and you're the best team in the league. Next thing you know, you fire your head coach and you get eliminated in round 1 of the NBA playoffs. That's just how quickly things turn in the NBA. You can be in the NBA finals in June, and the next year you've traded your best player to the Los Angeles Lakers, and now you're talking about firing your general manager. It's like playing Monopoly. You can have all the money in the world. Next thing you know, one turn around the board, you done landed on 3 spaces, and now you got no property left, and you are one roll from going bankrupt. That's what it is like in the NBA. That's really what it's like in sports. Let me play this for you guys, and coming up at the top of the hour, it's time for us to talk about the Shannon Sharpe thing. It has gotten big enough. There's enough information out there. We will talk about Shannon Sharpe coming up at the top of the hour. I want to play for you guys what Todd McShay had to say about Shedeur Sanders. There has not been a positive story about Shedeur Sanders in maybe 2 months.
Quarterback is not going at 3 is from everything I can understand. So then Shedeur falls to 9. Everyone was saying for about a week, and I was saying it's not New Orleans. I don't think it's Shedeur New Orleans at 9, and I don't think it would be Shedeur to New Orleans at 40. Worst case, he goes 21 to Pittsburgh. I was told Sunday night when I landed here in L.A., by someone I trust that probably as much or more than anyone out there, that's a softer floor than people think. Maybe it's like, hold on these quarterbacks. I don't see the team out there, and no one I've talked to sees the team out there, that if Shedeur gets past 21, they're going to go racing in the first round to go get him.
This thing has turned very quickly for Shedeur. Very quickly. I think top 10 always felt like a little bit of a pipe dream for Shedeur. But now, honestly, at this point, it really comes down to what does Pittsburgh want to do? Is Pittsburgh waiting on Aaron Rodgers? Do they love Shedeur enough to take him? Do they love Jackson Dart in the first round? But we went from Shedeur maybe being a top 10 pick to now, I'm not sure if he's going to be the second quarterback that's taken. I think there's a chance that it's Jackson Dart. Like, if you want what could be the biggest surprise in this, I think there's a chance that Jackson Dart goes 9 to the New Orleans Saints. I wouldn't bet on it. I don't think that's going to happen. But if you were saying, what is the thing that would just shock and surprise you? I think the Saints might really, really like Jackson Dart. And maybe they don't want to run the risk of, well, we got to trade back up into the first round, but maybe this team takes him. Maybe they don't want to do it. No one feels like you overdrafted your quarterback if you get it right. If you get it wrong, sure, we bring it up. And usually people get fired when that happens. But if you take the quarterback that you want and he turns out to be good, you get applauded for the most part. And maybe that's how the Saints feel. So we have gone from where Shedeur could maybe be a top 10 pick to now, I'm not sure if he gets drafted tomorrow night. I think he gets drafted tomorrow night, but it would not surprise me at all. This kind of feels like what happened with Johnny Manziel. Now, a team eventually took Johnny Manziel, but you remember going into that night, we thought that there was a chance he was going to go in the top 5. And in that scenario, Jacksonville took Blake Bortles in the top 5. And then it started. And it was a tumble down the board. Eventually, a team drafted him in the 20s. But boy, it was a long night there for him. It feels like we are there. Maybe all of this is a smokescreen to throw us off, and Shedeur is going to go number 3 overall to the Giants, and we will say, oh, man, we fell for it. But there has not been a positive story about Shedeur in weeks. If anything, we are finding out how behind the scenes the league really feels about him, how they really feel about his personality, how they really feel about his arm strength. A lot of the anonymous quotes and things that have been attributed to him are not good. You remember when Mahomes was being drafted? How there was just such a buzz and a momentum, and you were thinking, hey, Mahomes might go a lot higher than people think that he is going to go. And there felt like there was a race to go get him, and the Chiefs were in it, and the Texans were in it, and the Saints were in it, and we were all trying to see who was going to win, and ultimately Kansas City won. It feels like the exact opposite is happening right now for Shedeur. And heading into the draft, where is the buzz? Where is the hype? Where is the excitement? I don't see it. Maybe Pittsburgh grabs him at 21. Maybe this has been an elaborate smokescreen to throw us off the scent. That kind of happened to Teddy Bridgewater. You remember, there was a lot of negative Teddy Bridgewater. We don't like him. He eventually got drafted in round 1. Maybe that is what happens. But it has been a very weird draft cycle for Colorado's quarterback. Coming up at the top of the hour, let's talk about one of the top stories in sports. Yes, let's talk about Shannon Sharpe. We'll do it next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
This man was a bona fide scrub.
On 96.5 The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
It's here, Diamonds Direct's annual spring sale. Take an extra 20% off our already renowned prices. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off your purchase. That's 20% off plus $100 off store-wide. Explore an expanded selection of trending engagement ring settings, his and hers wedding bands, must-have fine jewelry, and more. But hurry, this limited-time sale ends April 27th, and we're even open this Sunday. Don't miss out. Visit DiamondsDirect.com for details.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
Hey, it's Carrington Harrison from The Drive here. Are you feeling tired, maybe a little foggy, or just not like yourself? Well, it could be low T. Symptoms like low energy, poor sleep, and a lack of motivation. They don't have to control your life. And at Heartland Men's Health, they specialize in treating low testosterone and helping men regain their vitality and confidence. With just a simple, quick quiz at heartlandmenshealth.com, you can find out if you're experiencing low T, and then you can book a $100 consultation. They'll run your labs, and within 30 minutes, you'll have your answers. And if you start treatment that day, then the visit is on the house. In just weeks, you'll feel more energy, get better sleep, improve workouts, and have a stronger sex drive. So don't let this hold you back. Pick up the phone. Don't wait. Call 844-447-6600 or visit heartlandmenshealth.com today. Heartland Men's Health has 3 locations to serve you: Overland Park, Independence, and North Kansas City. Reclaim your energy and confidence today.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. With thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust us to bring happiness home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This report is brought to you by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka and Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka and Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Proud partner of the Kansas City Royals. Each can of Surfside is only 100 calories and the best part, 0 bubbles. Grab it at the K or ask for it at your favorite bars and liquor stores.
Take me out to my TV on FanDuel Sports Network. Yeah, yeah. Royals games, announcers, and more Royals games. Did I mention they have the Royals? Stream now.
Join us for the Fans Draft Party on Thursday, April 24th from the Landing in Liberty. We'll be broadcasting live, plus your chance to win $965 and an autographed Chiefs helmet in our draft contest. KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
All right, let's talk about Shannon Sharpe. We're all grown here. We're all adults. I feel like I was one of the few people that called the Xavier Worthy situation accurately. I will try to do that again here with Shannon Sharpe. Now, I have read a large majority of the text messages that have been released between these two. I've heard the audio that has been released. I feel very knowledgeable on this subject to speak on it. This is what I think happened with Shannon Sharpe and this young lady. I think that Shannon Sharpe and this young lady were engaged in a consensual, very graphic, kinky relationship. I think they both are into some things that are perfectly fine. I am not here to judge what you are into. I don't care about any of that. I have a very, very strict rule. I don't spend my free time worrying about what other adults do in their free time. If you cool with it and she cool with it, I don't know why I also shouldn't be cool with it. It doesn't matter. I'm not with either one of you. I think that it is pretty clear that Shannon Sharpe has certain things that he is attracted to. And I think that this young lady was playing out Shannon Sharpe's old man fantasies. I think they were playing out his old man fantasies. I'm into this, and I am willing to give you a certain amount of money to play into my fantasy because I make a whole lot of money. I was reading one of the little text messages exchange that they were having. She basically is telling him, hey, send me $50,000. He then replies to her and says, well, I don't have that in my PayPal account. She then asks for him to Cash App it to her. He then says, I don't have Cash App. She then replies, well, how can you send me the money? He said, I have it in cash. She said, take a picture of it and show it to me. I think they were both down with whatever they were doing. I think at some point, whenever that video or Instagram Live or whatever weird thing that Shannon Sharpe was doing on the internet a few months ago, I think a turn happened in their relationship. And at that moment, I think she realized I can use all of the stuff that I know that Shannon is into. I can use that to make a lot of money. Like, I don't know how you can read these text messages and not think that they are text messages between two consenting adults that are both into some freaky nonsense. And I think that her lawyer is very, very smart and knows how to play the internet game. I've been doing this a long time. A lot of you have been on the internet for a long time. You know the things that go on the internet and the things that get you talking on the internet. And they have released very specific clips that I'm guessing if you heard the entire context of these two people talking to each other, the little 30-second clip they gave you would make a whole lot more sense. But that's not how the internet works. That's not how the internet works at all. And I think that Shannon realize, hey, this young girl kind of got me. I've been giving her money. I met her on OnlyFans. She knows a whole lot about me. And I think that Shannon tried to give her a significant amount of money. His lawyer admitted that. They tried to settle with this young woman for $10 million, and she declined. So now her goal is to embarrass you on the internet. And yeah, it was 10. Yesterday's price is not today's price. I'm about to get $25 million out of you. That nice little $100 million deal you got for that podcast, you better name that. You could be calling it Club Shay Shay. It's about to be called Club Gabby, because I'm about to own that podcast that you have. You got played. I mean, this was hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. She was going to get paid one way or the other. She was talking about you getting her pregnant in some of these text messages. She looked at you like a meal ticket. You were a gravy train. She's 20. She's doing OnlyFans. She got her hooks into a very wealthy, freaky old man. And boy, she played him like a piano. You got to pay that woman a lot of money. She embarrassed you. You can keep letting her embarrass you, and you might lose your ESPN job. You can keep letting her embarrass you, and she might have the deal that you have with your podcast. She might get it X'd out, or you can give her money to go away. You offered her 10. She wouldn't take 10. I don't know what her number is. I'm guessing it's a significant number to get her to stop releasing these little audio clips that she's been doing. But you got played. Simple as put. Life is simple. Horny always wins. And horny with a lot of money, dangerous combination. And that's what Shannon Sharpe is. We know that. That's not even an opinion anymore. That is a fact. He's a freaky old man. We now know about Shannon Sharpe. So I don't know what's going to happen to Shannon. I'm assuming this woman, she's going to keep dropping these little mixtapes day after day with Shannon Sharpe. She's done it 2 days in a row. He said in his video, he thinks that she's going to release a video at some point. You don't want no video of you on the internet, bro. Come on now. You're worth $100 million, man. You're a Hall of Famer. You work for Disney. I don't know what you need to do, but you need to sit down with her and her lawyer and pay her to go away and stop releasing these videos. And Shannon, you got to come on now. You're 50-something years old. You're fooling with a 19, 20-year-old, bro. You picked her up from OnlyFans. What? She played you. You got hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok. That's what she did. I mean, she's she hit the lotto. She had life's lottery, Powerball. This was a slip and fall she hit you with. She got the McDonald's hot coffee. One can only dream of having something like this happen to you. This was her dream. She won. She don't got to work anymore. You working for her now. You don't work for Stephen A. Smith anymore, ESPN. You work for this OnlyFans gal. That's all I got, Rob. We can move on from this, but I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on Shannon Sharpe. I think that Shannon Sharpe and this woman had a consensual relationship. Based on what we've seen so far. If I'm wrong, I'm happy. We'll talk about, hey, I was wrong. I've jumped to the conclusion. I think these two people were engaged in a consensual, kinky, adult relationship. And I think she realized at some point, I can play this to my favor. And boy, is she playing it and she is making Shannon Sharpe look like a fool on the internet, is what she's been doing for the last 72 hours or so.
Or it's possible her contention is at some point the relationship stopped being consensual because she is accusing him of, I believe it's sexual assault. I could be wrong on what she's accusing him of, but she is accusing him of more than just being weirdo, send me texts that are very graphic in nature. She has made a larger accusation. So your theory is fine, but what will come down to is if the courts can prove, and it's a civil suit, if the courts can prove that she is saying, at a certain point, I didn't want this anymore, and Shannon kept doing these texts and this nature, that is going to be the major contention in the civil lawsuit. I would tell you, the longer this drags out, I don't think the civil lawsuit matters. I think eventually Disney is going to act. Yeah, probably before the courts act is my guess.
I agree. And you're right. All of that could be true. I think she is going to have a tough time with trying to 100% approve this because we have seen enough text messages to know that she was with a lot of stuff. She was with a lot of other stuff. So that doesn't mean at some point she didn't say no and she doesn't consent to it. And you're right. And then that ends your relationship. I think she is going to have a tough time proving it. And I don't think the goal of this was to ever get to that point. I think the goal of it is what she's been doing. She tried privately to hit him up for $50 million. He offered her 10. I don't want 10. I want more than that. Or I'm going to start posting this on the internet every single day. She's giving these audio clips to TMZ. You don't ever give nothing to TMZ unless you're really trying to hurt somebody. You're giving these audio clips directly to the #1 gossip column on the internet. You are trying to come up on this. And nobody can't come up on you if you don't give them the ammunition to. You handed her the murder weapon to potentially end your career. Come on now. You're a 56-year-old man talking like this to a 19, 20-year-old woman. You had to know at some point something wasn't on the up and up. You saw those same text messages. That girl is a weirdo. But you kept going over there. I mean, hey, it happens. It's going to be a very expensive lesson for Shay Shay. A very, very expensive and embarrassing lesson. As I will say this, and we can move on from this. We might not ever talk about this again. I imagine I feel like many of you when it comes to this. We know way too much about Shannon Sharp's personal life. I don't want to know any more about him. This kind of feels like, remember a year or so ago, we were like trapped in Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith's life. And you were like, how did we get, I did not ask to be in the middle of this. I don't want anything to do with this. I like Shannon Sharp. I think he's very funny. I think he does get great interviews. I like Shannon Sharp. I didn't ask to know all of this about Shannon Sharp. Hey, I just want your thoughts on the Lakers. I didn't sign up for knowing who you were sleeping with and what you're into. I didn't sign up for this. Please delete me from these emails. Please unsubscribe me. Take me out of the group chat. I just want to get back to normal stuff with Shannon Sharp. Hopefully we do that. So far, we have not been able to do that in 2025, but you know what? I dream of a more productive day. Let's get back to the NFL draft. Coming up on the other side, we're going to go to Tennessee. They have a couple of players that have been mocked to the Chiefs. They have a running back that I really like, Dylan Sampson, very talented running back. They also have James Pierce Jr., who coming into the season was maybe the best pass rusher, had a disappointing junior year, but still looks like he could be a first-round pick. We will head to Tennessee next. Keep it right here, so drive.
Hey, it's Lucas Ursig from the Kansas City Royals. You're listening to The Drive with C-Dot on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Ring the bell. We've done it again. Golden Oak Lending has lowered rates to 4.875 fixed. Lower your monthly payment, get cash out, pay off credit cards, and best of all, make no mortgage payments for 2 months. Lock in this incredible 4.875 rate and get your cash in as little as 14 days. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Landing, cured my blues.
5.81 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Honey, it's me, your wife. Spring is here, and our house desperately needs the experts at Powell Exteriors Casey for siding, windows, entry doors, beautiful decks, patio covers, roofs, and more. Get ready for summer at powellcasey.com.
Whether you're digging a pond, clearing brush, grading property, or doing demo, Foley Equipment, your local Caterpillar dealer, is your one-stop shop. Buy or rent, Foley Equipment has the machines you need to get the job done. And right now, Foley has 0% financing on new cat skid steers, mini excavators, and compact track loaders. Stop by any Foley Equipment location today or visit us at FoleyEQ.com. That's FoleyEQ.com.
The other place with 5 great Kansas City locations, Shawnee, Olathe, the downtown Overland Park, Mission, and Belton. With 5 locations, that means you're never too far away from that one-of-a-kind game day experience, plus enough big screens that you'll never miss a second of the action. And if you want some great food, some great beer specials, and beautiful patios, then stop by The Other Place. The perfect place to make your baseball headquarters this spring. The Other Place, Shawnee, Olathe, the downtown Overland Park, Mission, and Belton. Your home for baseball this spring.
Here's today's 6-man picks, presented by DraftKings Pick 6.
Both Orlando forwards caught our eye tonight. Consider picking Paolo Banchero to score more than 26.5 points, and Franz Wagner to score more than 21.5. Both players set the tone for this Orlando offense, with minimal help from the bench. In the late game, consider picking Jabari Smith Jr. to have more than 9.5 points. It's a total he's eclipsed fixed in 4 of his last 5 games.
Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and lock in your picks before tip-off with code MyPicks. That's code MyPicks for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void or prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Red Hot Car Giveaway. Only at Harris, Kansas City. Saturday, April 26th. One lucky winner will win a brand new Red Hot Lexus ES350. Harris is giving away $2,500 in free play every 15 minutes from 7 p.m. till 10:45 p.m. At 11, 2 winners will receive $5,000 in free play, and 1 person will win $10,000 cash. And 1 person drives home a brand new Lexus ES350. Visit our website for full details. 21 or older to gamble. Know when to stop before you start. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from...
We can be twinsies.
...to...
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. Member FDIC.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
An exit closed off of westbound 435, the exit to 69 highway. Things slow out of the 435 and 70 exchange via eastbound 70. Also navigating a stalled car there. Northbound 435 at 70. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Welcome to your home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan.
Welcome back into the drive on 96.5 The Fan, 96.5thefan.com, and also the Odyssey app. Let's head to the phone lines right now to be joined by Zach Reagan. He covers the Tennessee Volunteers with A to Z Sports. They have a couple of players that have potentially been mocked to the Kansas City Chiefs. 2 very talented players last year from the SEC. Zach, how you doing, my man?
Good. How's it going today?
Doing great. Zach, before we get to these draft prospects, what has it been like to cover the Vols for these last 2 weeks? And they have been in the center of the college football NIL debates.
Tennessee always has a way of creating some interesting storylines in the offseason. So we thought we were going to get through this one unscathed, but, lo and behold, late in the spring, they'd make it as crazy as ever. So it's been a wild ride the past 2 weeks.
And, Zach, especially coming off a year in which you guys made the college football playoff. I mean, this is one of the better Tennessee Volunteer years in the last decade or so. This offseason was supposed to be a celebration. Hey, we're going back to the playoff next year. Maybe we can win the SEC. But it has been kind of mired in controversy around your quarterback.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we kind of thought this was going to be a quiet off season, not a lot of storylines going into the fall, just kind of everybody stay healthy and, see if they can pick up where they left off last season, maybe add a little bit of talent to the transfer portal. And now you got to replace your quarterback. You don't even know who's going to be under center for the first game of the season next year against Syracuse. So they find a way to keep it compelling.
Let's talk about a couple of the players that you guys have that are heading to the National Football League. Let's talk about James Pierce. I think he was one of the better pure pass rushers last year in college football. What do you make of his transition from college to the pros?
Yeah, it was, about a year ago, some people had him as maybe the number one overall pick, and then throughout the season, he didn't have quite as many sacks last year for Tennessee. Part of that's because early in the year, he wasn't playing, the entire game against some of the weaker competition. Tennessee likes to rotate their guys in and out quite a bit on that defensive line. And then you had some like character concerns pop up that kind of came out of nowhere a little bit because he really didn't cause a lot of drama when he was at Tennessee. With all this NIL stuff, especially with the Nico stuff, you kind of expect that now, but that never really came up with him. There was no vague tweets or anything like that. So not really sure where we stand on the character concern stuff because I didn't see a lot of that. But just as a pass rusher, man, he was always so dynamic at Tennessee. I mean, you saw other teams game planning for him, kind of helping out, sending other guys his way, which freed up other guys. So he made an impact even when he wasn't generating those like crazy sack numbers. But I think he's a guy that can be an instant impact pass rusher guy. I don't know if his game is complete enough to be an every down guy yet, but he definitely seems like a first-round talent.
From just how you describe Pierce and the season that he had this past season at Tennessee, it sounds a lot like a prospect that listeners are going to be able to identify with Luther Burden. Had a dominant sophomore year. You kind of expected him to take that jump from year 2 to year 3. It didn't happen, but all of the talent is there. And if he puts it together, he can be a very good pro. All of that sounds like what you're describing with James Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know if it's just the extra pressure that comes along with some of the hype that got put on him going into his junior season, or just teams game planning against him. They were trying to get the ball out quick. If you watched a lot of Tennessee games last season, most of the teams they were playing weren't trying to sit in the pocket and hit a lot of shots downfield. They were trying to run these short routes to kind of game plan away from him to keep their quarterback clean in the pocket, not expose him to Pierce coming off the edge. But there were definitely some moments where you saw the flashes of that elite talent where he would just manhandle, a left tackle or a right tackle and make it look like he was playing against high school competition at times. So the flashes were there. And, Kansas City, I mean, where else? That's kind of the place you would want to go to get developed,
You mentioned some character concerns with Pierce. Are they enough to scare you away? I mean, I know you don't cover the Chiefs on a day-in, day-out basis, but you follow football. You certainly know the Chiefs have had their run-ins with questionable decision-making and character. Would you be hesitant to bring a guy like Pierce into your locker room or take a chance on him?
The thing with Pierce is I never really got the sense that he was a problem for Tennessee. Like I said, he was kind of an enigma. He didn't speak a lot. He didn't always. They didn't make him available to the media a lot. I don't think he liked doing a lot of that stuff. He was just kind of a head down, go play kind of guy. Even during the recruiting process, he wasn't really that hyped. When he signed with Tennessee, it was late in the process. It was almost kind of like an afterthought. Like he wasn't one of these guys that was trying to get his name out there and going to all these camps and trying to get shout outs on social media all the time. He just played football. So some of these concerns, they talk about his coachability. I wonder if it's not just a personality deal where people haven't got the chance to really sit down and talk to him and get the gist of who he is. Back during the Combine, I felt like he made an effort to, he sat down and did some interviews with like NBC Sports and some other people that were there at the Combine. And I felt like that was kind of to change the perception of who he is as a player. So, yeah, I don't think he was a troublemaker type guy. I think they just wonder how coachable he is, but that might just be because he's a quiet guy.
Zach Reagan covering the Tennessee Volunteers. Do you see any player comparison for him as somebody who's watched his 3 years at Tennessee? Is there an NFL player that he reminds you of?
He's just kind of more of like right now, he seems like a rotational guy. Any guy that you see that comes in on like first and second down, right, that's brought in just to specifically rush the passer. I mean, there's a ton of those guys. He's not a 3-down, 4-down guy quite yet because there's concerns about his run defense. And that's another thing, too, where, that wasn't something he was asked to do a lot at Tennessee. Like, they were using him on early downs. They were subbing him out for some of their bigger guys in later downs, or early downs, running downs. So he might just be a pass rush specialist for now. And maybe that's something he can grow into as he kind of gets coached in those areas, adds some weight to his frame. But really, any kind of rotational pass rusher is really what he reminds me of specifically.
He feels like the prototypical right there on the fringe. You could tell me that James Pierce goes 22 in this year's draft. It wouldn't shock me. You could tell me that Pierce goes 42 in this year's draft, and it wouldn't surprise me. Do you think he ends up being on the first round, or do you think he's going to have to wait until Friday to hear his name called?
Man, that's a really tough call because I think nobody really knows where his draft stock is. I agree with you. He seems like a guy that maybe he even goes as high as like 15 to one of those teams, or maybe he falls to the end of the second round. I think it really depends on how NFL teams really view him. I know this time of year, it's tough to know. You know, there's so much information flying around as far as his character concerns, what's true, what's not. Are people trying to manipulate where he falls in the draft and this and that? So I tend to think he'll go in the first round. It might be the later half of the first round because I think his talent, just his natural physical ability, is going to be too tempting to pass up.
Let's talk about the running back that you guys have, Dylan Sampson. Right now we're taking a closer look at a couple of the players who have been mocked to Kansas City. We just talked about James Pierce, a very talented pass rusher. Let's talk about Dylan Sampson. I think that he was one of the 5 best running backs in college football last year. I'm a little surprised that there's not more buzz surrounding him coming into the league.
Yeah, I think some of that might have to do with Tennessee's offense. I know there's a lot of people skeptical about their kind of wide open offense and the way they run those wide splits and create some nice running lanes. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm a big fan of Sampson, not just because of the way he plays, but just who he is as a person, as a player. He was one of Tennessee's main team leaders, and I know you guys have Trey Smith out there, a former Vol, and he reminds me a lot of Trey Smith in his demeanor, just that he wants to win. He wants to be a part of a winning culture. He's a team-first guy, and I think that's as important as what he can do on the field.
I'm looking at a player comparison for him, and I see Brian Westbrook. My question, I guess, with that is, do you see him as that level of pass catcher? I think he is that level of talent out of the backfield, but what made Brian Westbrook so special was his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and be that dual threat. Do you think that Sampson can be that?
I think that's the big question with him because he wasn't asked to do that at Tennessee a lot. Tennessee doesn't throw to their running backs a lot because they have those wide splits. They like to use their running backs in pass protection on passing plays, and it's something I think they should do a little more is get the ball to those running backs, but they really don't ask them to catch the ball a lot. I think he had like 20 catches last season, and he played a lot of downs last year for Tennessee. He was their primary running back, didn't come off the field very much. I think that's something he's been looking to prove during this draft process as he meets with teams and works out for teams. It's kind of an unknown. I tend to think he can do it just because he's so driven and he's so good in space. When he gets in the open field, he's able to break tackles. It's just the question of can he actually do it because we haven't seen him do it.
You've mentioned the scheme a couple of times. Do you think that there is a chance that he is a system runner, that he just benefited from being in the right system at the right time?
I think there's always that possibility with some of these guys coming out of Tennessee because we have seen some guys come from that system, specifically wide receivers that haven't fared that well in the NFL so far. Jalen Hyatt, Velus Jones, Cedric Tillman, with the Browns caught on a little bit last season. But they do put their players in advantageous positions, and I think they're always going to face those questions a little bit. But I think with Sampson, he's shown the ability to break tackles. He has good vision. He hits the hole hard. He's kind of that one cut and go guy. And I think his game translates to the next level as long as he can hold up physically.
We're talking about a player who at the combine measured at 5'8", 200 pounds. Do you see him as an every down back? He got a lot of wear and tear in college. We're now moving up to a higher level, bigger, stronger, faster, more physical league. Do you see him as being an every down back, or do you see him as being a change of pace player?
There's a chance he could be that change of pace type guy. Last season, his first 2 years at Tennessee, he had 184 total touches. So, he's playing behind Jalen Wright and Jabari Small. Last season, he was the guy, and he had 278 touches. And, they got into that college football playoff game against Ohio State in December, and he only played 16 snaps because he had a hamstring, just wasn't able, just wore down by the end of the season. So he took a lot of hits last season. He did everything he could to stay on the field. He's still got to prove he can be durable. You know, if he's going to be a 300 carry guy in the NFL, I don't know if that's reasonable, especially at his size. He showed he's willing to carry the load, but, you know, willing to and being able to are two different things.
That was Zach Reagan, who covers the Tennessee Volunteers. They have a couple of players who could potentially head to the Kansas City Chiefs. They have a very talented running back in Dylan Sampson. He was one of the better running backs last year in college football. They also have James Pierce. It is kind of funny because there are so many similarities, I would say, between James Pierce and Luther Burden. Like, I think in some ways they are the same prospect, just on the opposite side of the ball. I mean, James Pierce had 10 sacks as a sophomore in the SEC, and the expectation was that he was going to be the best defensive player as a junior. Luther Burden's best year was a sophomore, and everyone expected him to take that next step forward, and that's not what happened last year. Now, both players, I think, are still obviously held in very high regard because of having success in the SEC, but both look like they're going to be fringe first-round picks because of having disappointing junior seasons. There's a lot of similarities in those two prospects.
I wonder with James Pierce, by the way, if we talked about the other day how Quinn Ewers was at one point the number one quarterback on the board at this time last year. This time last year, James Pierce was a top 5 guy. Like, James Pierce was going to be that dude in the NFL draft because he was an elite pass rusher at Tennessee who we thought was going to make the college football playoff on the back of his greatness. Not really how it shook out, but I worry about players like that, at least in round 1. Like, why did it fall off? Where did it go? And I think that's why you're seeing Luther Burden slide out of round 1 in mocks. I think that's why you're seeing James Pierce slide out of round 1 in mocks. Like, either it's self-preservation or something happened, but you can't go from an elite talent as a sophomore and we think, oh, it's going to be go time, and you follow it up with mediocrity. That kind of prospect scares me when they're hot and cold like that.
Let's take a little bit of a break from talking about the NFL draft. We'll certainly get back to it in just a little bit. Have you guys seen the most recent story that is in the Kansas City Star? The headline reads, "The clock is ticking for the Chiefs and the Royals stadium plans. Is Missouri doing enough?" Now, if you haven't read this story, I think you would agree with this. If you are still asking the question on is Missouri doing enough to keep the teams over a year after the vote failed, then the answer is no. I believe Kansas is doing enough. I think that Kansas has made a very attractive offer. We still keep asking the same question about the other side of state line, so the answer has to be no. I'm going to read to you guys 3 small paragraphs from this story. Now, I would highly encourage you to read this story on Kansas City Star's website, but I'm going to read you the gist of it. With less than a month left in the year's legislative session, Missouri lawmakers have largely taken no steps to provide public support for the new stadiums for the Chiefs and the Royals. I'm going to finish this, but can we stop really quickly and acknowledge what we just heard? With less than a month left, Rob, they've taken largely no steps. How can you see what Kansas is doing and what they've put together and how unified of a plan they have? And you have had over a year to get all your ducks in a row and be prepared for the biggest fight of your political life. And you've taken no steps? Okay, let's move forward. State lawmakers are divided on the exact reason for the lack of forward momentum. They can't even agree why they can't agree. Think about that. They're divided on the reason why they're failing. We don't know why we lost. I mean, we couldn't stop the run. We couldn't stop the pass. We couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. We couldn't run the ball. I don't know. All of those things are why we're losing. Okay. All right. Every sentence gets worse than the one before it. Some Kansas City area Democrats say that the General Assembly needs to do more, fearing that the teams could be headed on the way out. But the top lawmaker in the Missouri House says that he wants local officials in Jackson County and Kansas City to come up with a plan first. You guys don't have a plan? How is this even possible? 913-586-7965. Maybe you guys know this better than me, and you can answer this for me. The top lawmaker in the Missouri House says he wants local officials in Jackson County and Kansas City to come up with a plan first before state legislators move forward with measures that would provide public funding for one or more stadium projects. You've had a year. A year. We're getting down to brass tacks here. You guys still don't have a game plan? Do you know what you're up against? Do you think that they won't leave and move across state line? Do you think that they're joking about this? Because I don't think the football team is joking. Maybe the baseball team is joking a little bit about it. I don't think that the NFL team is joking about it, especially when there is a state 20 minutes from you that is willing to roll out the red carpet and give them everything that they want. You want land? You want tax breaks? You want a brand new stadium? You want us to pay for a majority of it? Come on. You don't have a plan. I want to read to you this last quote. I promise you, we won't spend too much time on this. I want to talk about the draft. I'm tired of talking about their incompetence. This is the Missouri House Speaker. I don't know this man's name, but he seems like he's an important person. Quote, I think more and more it's looking like Jackson County and Clay County are going to have to split the teams to make the deal work for both teams to stay in Missouri. Now, I can't say this definitively. This is just Carrington's opinion. I'm not reporting anything. Oh, I heard on, you did not hear it. This is Carrington thinks. There is no world in which the Chiefs are moving to North Kansas City. None. You think the Chiefs are building a new stadium out by the airport? That's what you think? I'm serious. We all live in the same area. We maybe don't live in the same part of town. We all live in the same area. You think that the Chiefs are building new Arrowhead out by the airport? Stop it. So their hope is that the Royals would move up north and then the Chiefs would agree to stay at the Truman Sports Complex. That's what they're hoping on? Okay. Good luck. This is a generational fumble from the people on the Missouri side. This is incompetence. Everybody associated with this should be fired, recalled. What's the term? How do we get rid of them? Impeached. You don't have a plan. Now your plan is, hey, Clay County, come save us? That's their plan? What's that saying? F-A-F-O? Missouri is, they obviously don't believe that. They don't believe it. The Royals are going to be playing baseball on 135th and Metcalf, and the Chiefs are going to be out by the Legends with the way that Missouri is playing this thing. This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. These are the people that we elected. These are the people that represent us. They can't get on the same page. They've had a year. They can't even agree on why they're disagreeing. They can't move forward with the most important thing in their entire political career. They're about to lose 2 NFL teams in a span of a decade. It's one thing to lose it to Los Angeles, California. They're about to lose one to Wyandotte County, and they still can't get on the same page. I'm dumbfounded. I really am. I'm crestfallen at this development. You guys don't understand what's happening? Kansas is all prepared. Got their clothes laid out for the next day. Man, I'm going to go to bed early. I'm going to get a good breakfast in the morning. I'm acing the ACT. Missouri is trying to cram for the test. I know some of you guys can see my face. This is unbelievable is what it is. It's genuinely unbelievable. It really is. Text line 913-586-7965. CDOT, the stadium issue is 100% Frank White's fault. I hope the axe has to grind is nice and sharp. At this point, it's all of their. It's all of their fault. I can't blame one individual for this. It's all of them. They're not good. I don't have any other way to describe it. I mean, they're about to find out, though. I'm serious. We're about to find out when the Chiefs are kicking off the 2031 season right next to Nebraska Furniture Mart, and Rob can see opening pitch, the first pitch from his balcony, then they'll find out. Well, I mean, to be positive, I mean, we got the Current, so I mean, we're fighting hard here, fighting hard. You know what? The World Cup is like the send-off. That's what it is now. It's the send-off is what it is for these people. This is I don't even have anything to say. I'm going to go get some water. We're going to come back. We're going to regroup, and we're going to get back to the NFL draft. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison.
For the first time in a long time, I'm willing to dream that this can be a special season for the Missouri Tigers.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. 96.5 The Fan.
Here is your Game of the Week, presented by Hyundai. Baseball is in full swing as summer is quickly approaching. Two of the hottest teams in baseball right now will face off as Toronto will head to New York in a heated divisional battle. The lead in the division is narrow, but both of these teams will hope to rely on their all-star sluggers to lead the way to a series win through the weekend. Will the newly named USA Baseball captain lead the way, or will the legacy first baseman in Toronto come away with the series? Don't let the urge to sing along to that catchy tune distract you from that truck drifting toward your lane or that lane-splitting biker creeping up beside you. Fortunately, every Hyundai offers available class-exclusive advanced safety features that can alert you to potential dangers around you, and Hyundai has over 130 IIHS Top Safety Awards since 2006. Because Hyundai is always working to ensure the road doesn't get you, IIHS Top Safety Awards include Top Safety Pick and Top Safety Pick Plus Awards to Hyundai vehicles from 2006 to 2025.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights. We can reawaken any space to make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Tonight, expect a chance of showers and thunderstorms with a low of 59.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples store has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Hi, Mia here at the winnings desk of the Missouri Lottery. With 56 million winning tickets last year, anyone can win big. So set your destination to winning, like gas stations, grocery stores, or anywhere you can buy a ticket. The Missouri Lottery. Winners welcome and play responsibly.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED, because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, HIMS can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
The technicians you can trust with your house keys. Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
Stay comfortable year-round with expert HVAC installation done right the first time. Enjoy zero down and payments from $180 a month. Schedule your consultation today at AnthonyPHCE.com.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Looking at a stalled car closing the left lane of northbound 35 just before Penway, and a two-car crash closing the right lane westbound 435, the exit to 69 Highway. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to The Drive with Carrington Harrison on 96.5 The Fan and the Odyssey app.
I got a bone to pick with you guys. It's a small bone, but it's a bone nonetheless. Sometimes I think that people my age, and maybe this is just a human thing, we are in love with nostalgia. Everything was better in the 90s. Everything was better in the 2000s. And we are really nostalgic about like the weirdest things. Like, Rob, you and I are on the internet. The internet is really nostalgic about Jason Williams, who played for the Sacramento Kings. Just weirdly nostalgic about him. I want to know why Travis Hunter isn't more beloved by us. Because I think if you took the same player that we just watched at Colorado and you put that player in 1993, we would talk about Travis Hunter like he was a mythical creature, is how we would talk about him. Instead, sometimes I feel like Travis Hunter is polarizing, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's just social media, that there's always going to be people that love you, but now we have given more of a voice to the people that hate you. I see a college player who did something that I don't really think many of us thought was possible. He was one of the best wide receivers in college football this past season, was one of the best defensive players this year, seems to have a great personality, has never gotten in trouble, never really been in the center of any controversy other than his relationship with his girlfriend that people don't approve of. It's very, very weird. I don't know why we don't view Travis Hunter in a way that we would for a player in the 90s. Because if Travis Hunter was a college football player in 95, people would talk about Travis Hunter like he was the greatest thing ever. I don't really think that's how we talk about him. And maybe I missed it. 913-586-7965. But I think now with social media, we just see the cycle of it all more than maybe we used to. That when it was new and fresh, and he was a sophomore at Colorado, it was shiny and sparkly. And then last year, we were arguing that a running back who played at a mid-major should have been the Heisman Trophy. And then weirdly, after him winning the award, it was odd. Travis Hunter is the greatest NFL prospect that we have ever seen. I don't even think that is an opinion at this point. I think that's a fact. I believe that Travis Hunter could be an all-pro at either position if he quit playing the other one and focused in on it. I think if Travis Hunter right now said, I don't want to play wide receiver anymore, I want to be the best corner in the league, I think he could be. I think Travis Hunter, if he just said, I want to be a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver, I think that he could be if he just decided. That same guy is about to enter today's NFL and play a little bit of both. I'm excited to see if he can do it. I don't really get that same sense that everybody is excited to see if Travis Hunter can do something that literally no player has ever done before at this level. We're not talking about Deion Sanders that would moonlight a little bit at wide receiver but was kind of awkward at it. Like, I think that Travis Hunter is going to be a good player next year on both sides of the ball. I think he's going to have real packages next year. I think he is going to be a legitimate wide receiver next year in the National Football League and play corner for a team in the league. I'm just excited to see if he could do it. And I feel like in the 90s, we loved the attempt of things. We love to see Deion try to see if he could play football and baseball at the same time. We love the fact that Charlie Ward won the Heisman Trophy and then decided to play point guard for the Knicks. I don't really feel like we appreciate cool things that happen in sports anymore.
I agree with you. And I think what has happened to Travis Hunter is he got caught up in the polarization of both Deion and Shedeur. Because Deion is the most polarizing person in college football. It is not a player. It is not another coach. It's not a program. It is one person. It is Deion Sanders. It's Coach Prime. And he got swept up in all that. And there are a lot of people who don't like Coach Prime. They don't like Shedeur. And he got caught up in that riptide, for lack of a better term. Because I think there are reasons to think the amount of coverage versus the amount of success with Deion is frustrating. There are reasons to say, why do we talk about Shedeur like he's some can't-miss NFL prospect when he feels more like Geno Smith? How come he get his number? Like, all the Shedeur Deion stuff has created this buzz, and it's created both positive and negative buzz, and Travis Hunter's caught up in it. And I think it's almost a problem with Deion that Travis Hunter is now viewed negatively because he should be viewed like Charles Woodson. He should be a person we're talking about, hey, Cam Ward's great, and he was good at Miami and Incarnate Word and Washington State, but what Travis Hunter did is crazy. How can you pass on that talent? But instead, he played at Colorado with Shedeur and Deion. That's part of his story.
Yeah, and I guess to me, and I guess I don't understand it from this context. I feel like in the 90s, we used to love the characters of sports. Who is the outspoken player in today's sports climate that people really like? Who is that player? Who's the player that is outspoken that people would consider to be beloved? Because I don't know if we would love Charles Barkley today if he came out and was playing. I think a lot of people would hate Charles Barkley. And I don't think Barkley would be as famous if he was a player in 2025 like he was in 1995. I think the way that we love and appreciate sports because of social media, I feel like it's changed. And I feel like a lot of it has changed because of social media. And also the way that we cover sports on television.
That's fair. I think we've always felt this way, but it's just like we haven't talked about it. We've wanted characters in sports, but we don't want them to be created. We want them to be enjoyed, if that may, like, I feel like part of the character of Travis Hunter and liking Travis Hunter, it feels like it wasn't organic. It felt like Deion was creating this when it first happened. Remember, Travis Hunter had played one half of college football at the Division I Power 5 level. And what did Deion say on the way to the locker room? He's got his Heisman already in his house. And it made people feel a way about Travis Hunter that they shouldn't have. They should have walked away from that TCU game and been like, that guy's a freak. And we saw 2 great years in playing college football. But I think everyone's first 2 memories of Travis Hunter are that incredible pick at the goal line against TCU.
It's an amazing play.
And then what Deion said at halftime of that game to Fox Sports about him having the Heisman already locked up. And I think it put a sour taste in people's mouth because it didn't feel like the character and the greatness came organically. It felt like Deion was pushing an agenda. And because of who Deion is, that made people feel a way about Travis Hunter.
Yeah, text line 913-586-7965. Characters were fun in portions that we had back in the day. Now they get old and forced all day, every day with social media. Well, I would say that's an us problem than a their problem. That's an us thing then. Like, I love Travis Hunter. I'm really excited to see what he looks like in the National Football League. Like, I'm really excited to see if this can work with him. I think he seriously wants to try to play both at a high level next year in the NFL. And we've never had that conversation if you could do it or not. Sure, we've seen guys that could play a little bit of defense and they could come over and have one or two run a jet sweep. I think he's going to try to legitimately play corner and wide receiver in the league. I'm just really excited about the attempt. And the fact that a player like that, who won the Heisman Trophy, who played, I think Nick had this stat earlier. Before Travis Hunter, the most that a player had ever played, like 250 snaps on both sides of the ball, he played over 750 snaps last year in college football. The fact that we are even debating the fact if he is polarizing or not is weird to me. Someone on the text line says, what about Jameis Winston? He's loved. He also was accused of sexual assault. It took a long time for us to get. We did not feel that way about Jameis Winston for a very, very long time. And the fact that Jameis, who was not popular at all in college and has been able to rebrand himself over the last 3 years, is one of the most remarkable things I can see. Jameis Winston at time, we could probably look it up, was the most unpopular player in college football. Like, legitimately. And the fact that now he has turned into a guy that everybody loves is just, it is a Snoop Dogg level of rebranding what we have seen Jameis Winston do. Not many people get the ability to do that. We'll keep talking about the NFL draft on the other side. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison, your home for the best food takes in KC.
Regular old American nachos. You know, I don't need jalapenos with mine, just chips, cheese.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. 96.5 The Fan. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Looking at a stalled car closing the left lane of northbound 35 just before Penway, and a two-car crash closing the right lane westbound 435, the exit to 69 Highway. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
What's up, everybody? Nick Costos here with the Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly. Tonight in the Pro Hockey Playoffs, Game 3 Western Conference Series between Colorado and Dallas. Series tied at a game apiece. Dallas winning Game 2 in overtime. Colorado a pretty big favorite, minus 190. Dallas plus 160. Total in the game, 6.5. Big story in this one. Colorado's captain will be playing in this game for the first time since Colorado won the championship 3 years ago. Crowd's going to be crazy. I think Colorado wins big. I'll play Colorado minus a goal and a half at plus 135. Colorado to win by 2 or more tonight against Dallas. That's it for this Sports Betting Minute, brought to you by BetMGM. Download the BetMGM app and take your game to the next level with the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly.
BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. Kansas only. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Royals coverage sponsored by Park & Go. The best deals on airport parking.
Step up to the plate and hit a home run with Casey's best airport parking. It's Park & Go. Great service, low price, zero hassle, open 24/7, and all spots are covered. Don't get caught looking. Strike 3. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com.
As men get older, our bodies change. We all know that, and often we just accept the changes as the way it is. But some of those changes, such as bad sleep patterns, low sex drive, brain fog, no energy, and reduced gains in the gym, could be due to low testosterone. And that is something you can change. This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And even if you're in your 30s, if you're experiencing some or all of the symptoms I just noted, you very well may need low testosterone treatment. With our treatment protocols, if you're like most men, you'll be amazed at the change. You'll have more energy, improved mental clarity, your Your sleep will be better, so will your workouts, and you'll likely find that your sex drive increases too. So give us a call today and make the change for good. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. And if you start on treatment the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices to serve you. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Hey there, Kansas Lottery here. And we want to get together for a game or two. Meet us at your favorite retailer or wherever you like to buy your tickets, and we can let the games begin. There's a lot of fun and cash on the line. See kslottery.com for details.
Honey, our new James Hardy siding from Powell Exteriors KC looks so good. Our house went from worst to first. The neighbor waved at me today with her whole hand. I'm ready for phase 2 of our home transformation. Let's call Powell about that new deck. They're offering financing at 0% for 18 months on everything. You should call today at 816-656-1160 or take another look at their stunning work on powellkc.com, Facebook, and Instagram.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
And Doug. Quickly, Moo. We don't have much time. This Liberty ad is already almost over. We only have a few precious seconds to remind people to customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Okay. Well, I guess we had more time than I thought.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Royals coverage sponsored by Metal by the Foot, your metal project superstore.
For over 36 years, Metal by the Foot has been your source for steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless. Located in Casey and Topeka. Online at metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
Kansas City, this is Michael Massey. Listen to the play-by-play all season long with Denny, Jake, Ryan, and Stu right here on your home for Royals baseball, 96.5 The Fan.
KFNC FM and AM, HD1 and HD2, Kansas City, an Odyssey sports station.
I want to read to you guys a tweet from Jordan Schultz. Quote, several teams picking in the top 10 are open to trading down. The challenge has been finding teams willing to move up. I'm guessing every team outside of the top 3 this year is open to trading down. I don't think the teams in the top 3 are moving down. Tennessee, Cleveland, and the Giants. I think every other team in the top 10 is open to it. But I don't think there's the players that you would be willing to pay what it traditionally pays to move up in the draft. From Jordan Schultz, from what I'm hearing is there isn't a strong push to trade up this year, especially if it means giving up significant value that aligns with traditional trade charts. As one source puts it, the current offers are 70 cents on the dollar. There is not a single player in this year's draft class that is realistic for you to go get, that is worth trading next year's first-round pick to go get. Usually, that's what it takes if you want to make a maneuver in round 1. If you want a quarterback and you don't pick in a quarterback spot, it's going to cost a next year first-round pick for you to maneuver to go get that quarterback. You would trade 2 first-round picks to go get Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders? Is there an offensive lineman in this class that you think is worth 2 first-round picks? Is there a defensive end? Is there a pass rusher that would be that? I know we've had this conversation about should the Chiefs move up in the draft. I think the honest answer is more and more, and I think the people that prognosticate this thing and look at it are telling you the answer is there's not really a player in this draft that you would do that for. And I think that fits for the Chiefs at tackle. Rob, more and more, I'm starting to think you were right. There isn't a player that you would trade your first, your second, and a fifth to move up to get. Everybody in the draft is telling you this isn't the draft to do that. There will be those drafts that pop up, but all of the position groups that really matter and move the needle for the draft, they're not really strong this year. Quarterback, there were 6 quarterbacks that were picked in the top 12 last year. We think there could be 1, maybe 2 that go in the first round this year. I'm not sure if Shedeur or Jackson Dart are going in round 1. So the most important position on the field, the scouts are telling you we don't view that position group this year. Wide receiver the last handful of years has been really, really popular in the draft. There's 3 we think are going to go in round 1 this year? McMillan's going to go in round 1. Golden's going to go in round 1.
What do you count Hunter as, I guess?
Yeah, and Travis Hunter. So I would say 3 for sure. Maybe Burden, maybe Emeka Egbuka go in round 1. Certainly no guarantee. This isn't a strong pass rush draft. This isn't a strong tackle draft. If you're not going to have a really strong draft at the 5 most important positions of value, and now you're telling me that you would trade up for a running back or trade up for a tight end or do one of those things, it's not surprising to me that right now there really isn't a market to move up. I mean, usually by now we would have seen some action in the NFL draft. That usually happens. We see a team move up to go get Bryce Young. We see a team move up to go get Jared Goff or Carson Wentz. That player just doesn't exist. Now, I'm not saying there won't be any trades on draft day. I'm sure that they will be, but it certainly makes sense to me when he says that the current offers are at 70 cents on a dollar. I'm not giving you a future first-round pick to move up to number 11 in this year's draft class because I'm guessing that next year, even the 21st pick next year will be more valuable than having the 9th pick in this year's draft class, just based off the kind of prospects that we're talking about.
I agree, and I've been saying that the whole time. I also feel like, you know where we can see it? We haven't seen a player for picks trade.
Not yet.
Not at all. And have you heard rumors of one? Like, usually by now, maybe we don't have one, but you hear like, ooh, there's speculation that A.J. Brown might get moved on draft day. And then he did. You hear speculation that, hey, keep an eye out for Frank Clark. He could be on the move this time of year. You hear the Orlando Brown. Like, you see and hear those stories and that speculation. We haven't seen that at all this year because I don't think the draft is strong enough like for you to give up a known commodity player for picks. Now, this didn't work for the Titans, so I'm not defending the Titans' decision. But remember that when the Titans traded A.J. Brown, they got a bevy of picks, and that was the draft where there were a lot of good wide receivers available. Now, the Titans used a pick on Treylon Burks, who was not a good wide receiver, so they missed on the fill-in player, but that was a wide receiver where the prognosticators felt like, oh, there's talent all through the first and second round. So, yeah, we'll give up A.J. Brown, and we'll give up that contract, and we'll go get our guy. The Seahawks, when they traded Frank Clark, they felt like, hey, we're in a good spot at edge rusher because we took one the year before, and we'll take the pick. Like, you haven't seen that. I think it's because the draft talent, while solid, is depressed at the top end.
Text line 913-586-7965. CDOT, the Chiefs basically have 2 second-round picks since they picked so late in the first round. I would trade this year's first-round pick and next year's first-round pick if that meant that the Chiefs got a bona fide left tackle. I don't think that player exists in this year's draft class. I also don't think that the Chiefs' draft picks would be strong enough to get you even to the possibility that you would consider doing that. I would say there's, maybe 3 in this year's class? And I wouldn't even use the term bona fide with them. There's probably 3, though, right? Kelvin Banks, Mimbu from Mizzou, and probably Will Campbell. I mean, we think that those 3 guys are going to go in the top 10 in this year's draft. Mimbu has been projected to go top 10 this entire time. People think that Will Campbell's going number 4 overall. Kelvin Banks is certainly picking up a lot of hype and buzz around him being a top 10, maybe a top 12 pick. I don't think that the Chiefs even have enough ammunition to do that in this year's draft class. Like, that's not the market that they are in with their draft picks, bona fide left tackle. You don't get bona fide left tackle at 31 and your first-round pick next year that most people think is going to be a late pick. It's not like next year we think the Chiefs are going to pick 9 in the NFL draft. I don't think that 31 this year and 32 potentially next year, that ain't getting you into the top 10 to go get that kind of tackle really in any draft.
I think that's, and I'm not trying to run down the texter, that's a perfect example of Jordan Schultz's second sentence in that report. People are offering 70 cents on the dollar for the 9th pick in the draft. I know that the Jets are a team that people think could take Mimbu. If you're going to get to 9, you ain't giving away 31, 32, and 64 to do it. That would be the definition of 70 cents on the dollar. Now, if the Chiefs are giving away 1 and 2 this year, 1 and 2 next year, and maybe another 2 down the line, the draft chart would shake out. Right, you can maybe make that work. But that makes sense why teams aren't able to move up. Here's 70 cents on the dollar for the 9th pick in the draft. I'm good. I'll just stand pat and take a player. If you're the Jets, for the texter's analogy, I'll just take Mumbu at 9. I don't need a bunch of picks in the 30s. I'm good.
And I also think that this is going to be a draft because there are so few kind of surefire picks that people feel like. This is going to be a draft class that really tests your scouting department, how good you are. There's going to be some teams that nail this draft. We don't know it yet in real time, but 2-3 years down the line, we're going to look and we're going to think, hey, man, you really made the best out of a bad situation. Look, you got a starting running back, you got a starting tackle, you got an offensive. You did a lot of good with this. There's going to be some teams that their scouting department is not strong that really, really miss in this year's draft class. They chase, they draft for need instead of taking best player available. And you look up and you look at their 2025 draft, and it was a disaster. Normally, what gets you in this position is chasing need instead of taking best player available. And this year, I don't know if there's that perfect intersection for a lot of positions where you're going to get the best player available and a need. So it's really going to come down to how you scout, how you draft, how you evaluate, and also how you develop talent. I think the Chiefs are in a decent spot given where they select. You got 31 overall, and you also have the 63rd overall pick and the 66th overall pick. Having control of the board for a time like they are going to have with 63 and 66, I think gives you some flexibility to do some things. Maybe there's a pass rusher that you like that falls in the draft. Maybe you want to move up to go get that player. Maybe you take a player at 63 and now you can move back in 66, because we're talking about a team that the Chiefs, they just don't have a lot of picks for this upcoming draft class. The Chiefs don't have a pick in round 5, 6, or 5 or 6, excuse me. They have pick 133. They don't make another pick until 226. I am guessing if the Chiefs see an opportunity to try to get somewhere in that range, I think they're going to take it. So if that means you got to move out of 95 because maybe you take a pick at 63 and 66, now you can move back from 95. Let's say you move back to 101, but you can pick up 2 of those picks in that zone. I think the Chiefs are going to try to do it. I think you're going to see much more trade back opportunities in later rounds than I think you're going to see. I think that round 1, for the most part, is going to be uneventful. I think the event part of it is just seeing where Shedeur goes. I don't think there's going to be a lot of sizzle. I don't think this is one of those drafts that's going to pop like we've seen some drafts in years past. Coming up on the other side, a team that has a lot of great prospects who could potentially be future Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to head to Columbus. We're going to head to Ohio State. They got an offensive lineman that makes a lot of sense for Kansas City. They also got 2 running backs that I think are going to go in the top 75. We'll talk about that next. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your home for Kansas City sports. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
You can hit the jackpot when you bet NBA on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. And with the playoffs going, and they also have FanDuel's Downtown Jackpot, where you have a chance to win a share of $1 million in bonus bets. All you have to do is place a bet on player-made threes using your exclusive profit boost. And if your player has the most threes on a night, then you'll win a share of $1 million in bonus bets. That's right. It's simple. They shoot and you score. All you need to do is visit FanDuel.com/KFNZ. Use my promo code FanDuel.com/KFNZ and enter the $1 million downtown jackpot. Make every moment more this NBA playoff season with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA and also 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. Opt-in required. Prize pool to be split evenly among all eligible participants who made the correct pick. Bonus issue with non-withdrawable bonus bet required 20 after street restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Get in with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
When it comes to buying a car, simple wins. Rob Site Ford has the inventory, the trade values, and the non-commissioned team that puts you first. No pressure, just 4.8 stars on Google for a reason. ROBSIGHT.com.
KC, let's get loud at Big Slick 2025. Enjoy comedy, music, and more at the Big Slick Show on May 31st at T-Mobile Center with all proceeds benefiting Children's Mercy. Tickets are on sale now at BigSlickKC.org. Peace and quiet are not invited, but you are.
Gear up, race fans. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend is roaring into Iowa Speedway July 11th to the 13th, featuring the only NTT IndyCar Series doubleheader weekend on the 2025 schedule. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend has become one of the most anticipated and action-packed events in racing. Tickets are going fast. Score yours today and get ready to feel the rush at the fastest short track on the planet. Visit IndyCar@Iowa.com for tickets. Sioux Cup IndyCar Race Weekend at Iowa Speedway, the ultimate summer racing event.
Hey, it's Rex here with RexBuysKC.com, your local KC home buyer. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, write this number down, 816-330-6000. I'm a private real estate investor, not some hedge fund or large national chain. My family and I live right here in KC. I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at RexBuysKC.com, we're improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000, or go to RexBuysKC.com. That's RexBuysKC.com, and I look forward to working with you.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunk Americas, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Okay, raise your hand if you want to make your life a little bit easier. Great. Now raise your other hand if you like to be comfortable. Perfect. Now that you have both hands raised, imagine putting on your shoes. And that, folks, right there is your answer to an easier, more comfortable life. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. This is footwear you don't need your hands to put on. They can be raised in the air, and you can just step it and go. Why don't you experience what people can't stop talking about? Life-changing Skechers Slip-ins. Get your Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
This report is brought to you by Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka and Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka and Surfside Lemonade and Vodka. Proud partner of the Kansas City Royals. Each can of Surfside is only 100 calories and the best part, 0 bubbles. Grab it at the Cave or ask for it at your favorite bars and liquor stores.
Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
Looking at a stalled car closing the left lane of northbound 35 just before Penway, and a two-car crash closing the right lane westbound 435, the exit to 69 Highway. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5 The Fan Traffic.
You're listening to 96.5 The Fan from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. This is 96.5 The Fan, your home for Chiefs football.
This is one of my favorite people to talk to. He is on the short list. Chico Boardman. He hosts post-game for Ohio State. If we're going to talk about three players who could potentially be on the Kansas City Chiefs, there's no better. I'd rather talk to Chico than talk to Ryan Day about these players. Chico Boardman joins us on the show today. Chico, how you doing, my man?
Good. I don't have my looks are nowhere near the handsome looks that Ryan Day has, but I appreciate it, buddy.
There's a lot to get into. I guess let's start with this, and this has nothing to do with the draft. I'm wondering if you guys feel there is a measure of disrespect, people overlooking the Cleveland Cavaliers, because they are the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, but yet everybody thinks that the 2 seed is going to make it to the NBA Finals.
So, yes, there is certainly amongst the fan base, a level of disrespect. I think from my vantage point, and, we try to be as objective as we possibly can, I somewhat understand it. You're waiting for the Cavs to take that next step. They made a coaching change. Obviously, Kenny Atkinson has been phenomenal this year. But even, J.B. Bickerstaff did a great job as far as really, conveying a defensive attitude, mentality, what have you. Atkinson then kind of took the offense to another level, Evan Mobley specifically, and then you have a superstar in Donovan Mitchell. But again, what the question is with like a guy like Mitchell is he going to step up in the biggest of moments? Now they have that experience. I as well as I do, it's never sexy to talk about an NBA series and go, well, experience and being able to go on the road, but it's so important because the game just completely changes from regular season to postseason. So I understand it, but I got to tell you, I think there's a lot of confidence from this fan base in talking to them and also what they've been saying in terms of the Cavaliers moving forward.
I understand that there is a natural skepticism that exists always when it comes to sports, but there might not be a sport that is more you have to do it first for people to believe you can do it than the NBA playoffs. We always believe that Houston's going to lose to the Golden State Warriors or the Cavs are going to lose to the Celtics. Like, you really got to prove it in the NBA playoffs to get people to buy in.
And I think that's cool. I mean, I think that's one of those things that you welcome. If you're a Cavs player, hell, if you're a fan. I mean, fans are tired of hearing about Boston, but, what do you always say? It's kind of like with you guys for years. If you want to be considered the top dog, you're going to have to go through, these types of teams. And Boston has been that team. So, you're right. I mean, it is one of those things that you got to go out there and prove it. But I think it's, like I said before, I just think it changes so drastically from regular season to postseason that, there's a lot of, okay, go ahead and prove it that's out there.
Right now, we're talking to Chico Boardman. He does radio in Cleveland. He also is the Ohio State post-game host. All right, let's talk about the offensive lineman, Josh Simmons. He has been mocked. He's actually the most popular player who has been mocked to the Kansas City Chiefs. If you compile all of the national mocks that are out there, what makes him a first-round pick? What makes him a player that could be a potential left or right tackle in the National Football League?
Well, I think when you look at him, just the size, I mean, 6'6", about 320. He got hurt, obviously, and we'll touch on that a little bit more, but got hurt about 5 games in. But, I mean, CDOT, if he doesn't get hurt, no disrespect to Will Campbell and your boy Membo, who I like a lot, there's a good chance Josh Simmons is tackle one. But he did have the injury. When he transferred from San Diego State, he made that transition from right tackle to left tackle, and sometimes that's not easy to do. For him, it was pretty seamless. So, he's not a mauler in the ground game, but I think if you're looking for just an extremely athletic and just God-given ability and height and weight and all that stuff, he's going to bring that. He's got a good motor. The injury, it's the PCL, so that's something that the team, I'm sure, is triple and quadruple checked as far as the meds go. But I think he'd be a perfect fit for you guys on that left side, left or right side. But I think he's more than capable of filling that bill.
What one of my fears are with him is that the talent is so high, and in a draft class that people don't necessarily love, they're going to take a chance on the talent and they'll figure out the physicals later. That if you're a guy that looks like, hey, if you were healthy, you would have been a top 10 pick and we can grab you at 17 and bring you along slowly. Maybe that's the play in this year's class.
Yeah, and I haven't heard. I mean, I'd love to sit here and tell you that I've got the very latest on that knee, but I haven't heard anything. And it's not like it's been a laundry list of injuries. All I can say is I haven't heard that it's held him back necessarily. But when you're talking about camp and is he going to get back to his normal self? Those things are always going to be a big question mark. But I think you're right. We've seen that a lot. Just all over the draft. I was talking to a guy the other day about Will Johnson from Michigan. I mean, 2 years ago, he would have easily been and still could be a top 5, top 10 pick. I don't know, but he missed a lot of last year, pretty much all of last year. And even when they thought he could come back, it was, well, I'm going to get ready for the NFL, which, hey, far be it for me to say that's a bad choice. But when that happens, I mean, I think some people kind of forgot about him, and I don't know if it's to that extent with Josh, but I think with Will, you can definitely make that case.
I'm not really sure if Simmons is going to be there at 31, and I'm starting to think more and more that if Kansas City wants to get him as a player, that they're probably going to have to move up, and maybe this just isn't the draft that teams are going to be willing to package kind of future compensation to move up and kind of overpay for somebody.
Yeah, I know that he has had, I'm sure you guys know a few workouts with Houston. They seem to like him a lot. Yeah, there's the C.J. Stroud, connection, all that stuff. But they have a need for him as well. So, I don't think it would be a huge move up. But, yeah, I agree with you. I think I'd be shocked if he makes it past Houston at 25, to be honest with you.
Right now, we're talking to Chico Borman. He does postgame for Ohio State. They have a couple of prospects that would make a lot of sense for the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Chiefs actually had a visit today with Travion Henderson, their very talented running back. I'm thinking there's a chance that Henderson might be the number 2 running back off the board. I know that everybody is so hell-bent that Hampton is going to be that from North Carolina. I think there's a chance. There's always that surprise pick. I think there's a chance that Henderson might go 20 to the Broncos.
Well, you know what? Here's another one when we talk about injuries. Now, as far as character, and I'm sure you guys have been hearing about this, he is an unbelievable young man. Not many guys, especially in today's day and age of college athletics, are going to welcome a guy like Quinshawn Judkins, who we'll get in a moment. Judkins coming in, and your carries are going to be limited, and you're going to share snaps. Yeah, hey, no problem. Let's just go out and win the Natty. That's what we're here for. So, but, after his freshman year, this is a guy that set records at Ohio State his freshman year. But then he's been slowed. It was the foot injury for a while. I think he had a hamstring for a while. When he can get on the field, you saw in that championship game, he is electric. He is a home run hitter. In space, I don't want to say – sometimes you say, well, a guy's not good, as far as in traffic. I don't want that to mean, and it doesn't mean that he can't, lower the pads. But he tends to kind of panic a little bit, when there is a little bit of traffic. But he's a guy, when you talk about versatility, out of the backfield, catching the ball, he's tremendous. And again, he's a guy, when you're talking about work ethic, when you're talking about just a good young man, he's phenomenal, and he can do it all. It's just, it all depends on what flavor you want and what you're looking for. as far as your running back because, he's not as powerful. He's not as, angry, as we like to say, a runner as Judkins is. But, man, he can do pretty much everything. He's a great pass blocker, and he's great catching the ball out of the backfield.
I think running back comparisons are actually some of the ones that are the most fun to make. I'm on his NFL.com draft page, and they have the NFL comparison for Henderson as Aaron Jones. When you watch him run, who is the running back that he most reminds you of?
Oh, wow. I think Jones is a good one. I mean, he's not the biggest guy. He's only about 200 pounds. But like I said, the fact that he can, be out of I don't know if he's as powerful as Aaron Jones is, but I would say in terms of being able to get it out of the backfield and pass blocking, gosh, you got me on the spot here. I'm drawing a blank, but I think Aaron Jones is a pretty fair comparison.
Let's do that same thing with Judkins just as a prospect. I think what is so really good about this running back class is, let's say that you don't take Henderson in round 1, or you miss on Hampton, or you miss on Ashton Genty. I think there's like 10 to 12 really good running backs in this draft class. Had a lot of success at big-time universities last year, and Judkins is one of those kind of players. If Kansas City got Judkins at 63, I'd be thrilled if that's what they came up with at running back.
And this is no lie for all those out in Kansas City hearing this. I thought a lot about, because one of the guys that I fell in love on your team with was Pacheco. And I know he had the injury this year, but just, he kind of has that same mentality, right? Sometimes that can get you in trouble, but Judkins is an angry runner. He's never, you're not going to get him down with just one guy. Sometimes that can work against him. But I think Judkins, here's the thing. If somebody right now said, okay, who's going to be the better pro? It's hard to not say Travion Henderson because he can do so many things. But I'll tell you what, man, I think Judkins can be very, very special. I mean, this is a guy, you saw what he did in the SEC at Ole Miss before coming here. And then speaking of the championship game, I mean, he is just a different cat when it comes to mentality, when it comes to, running behind the pads, and just he is a punishing guy. And he honestly reminds me, you can help me out here. What is the latest? Are they, nobody's souring on Pacheco, are they? Or I haven't really been following that too much.
People have certainly soured on him a little bit. He's also heading into the final year of his contract. So a lot of people, and I throw myself in this mix, are just starting to kind of think for the future. The Chiefs don't have any running back that is currently under contract past this upcoming season. So I'm looking at this running back class as very deep, very balanced, and experienced. I think this is the perfect time to start thinking about the future a little bit, where you get a Judkins, you get a Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee, and then you have Isaiah Pacheco as your 1B number 2 running back, and you really round out that room. And then you got Kareem Hunt coming back, where he's your third down kind of short yardage back.
Boy, it's really amazing how the game plays out, doesn't it? Because, you look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire was, I thought, had all the tools and everything, and of course had some other stuff going on with him, and you hope he's 100% with all of that. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire and then Pacheco was the guy that I remember watching. I don't know if it was the HBO show or whatever, but he was like, they started saying, man, who is this Paco or Pacheco? This guy, he just runs hard. But, you figure a few years ago, my gosh, you've got Edwards-Helaire and Pacheco. I could see right now KC fans kind of being a little skeptical, like Travion, wow, he is electric. Wow, he can do a lot of things, but health is a huge part of this. You gotta be on the field. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Last thing here, is there another player that you think potentially makes sense for Kansas City? I remember Jack Sawyer watching him in that Cotton Bowl against Missouri, and he was just all over the field. He looks like a guy that could maybe be a mid-round pick. You guys won the national championship last year. You guys were the most talented team in college football. Do you have any other prospects that you think would make sense for Kansas City in that kind of second to third round range?
From the Buckeyes or just in general?
From Ohio State.
Yeah, Jack Sawyer is the first one. That was the name that would have rolled off my tongue. I mean, listen, I don't want to say he's one of the Bosa brothers. I mean, those guys were are very special. But Sawyer is just, you saw it in the championship game. I mean, he's extremely talented coming out of high school, as highly rated as they come. And another one of those guys that was like, listen, we're all coming back. He could have very easily gone pro, certainly helped himself, but high motor. I think Jack Sawyer will end up being a very, very good pro. And yeah, I'm curious to see if he slips, how far that happens, because my understanding is he's interviewed very well. All of that sort of thing has gone very well. I think he's a very, very special player, C-Dot.
That is our guy, Chico Borman, joining us on the show today to get the latest. Ohio State, they have a couple of players who have been rumored to come to Kansas City. Josh Simmons, their left tackle from last year. They had a visit with Travion Henderson. They're very talented running back. They also got Quinshon Judkins, who looks like he could be a mid-round pick. Chico, man, I always love talking to you. We'll talk after the draft when you guys get Travis Hunter.
Always fun, C-Dot. Thank you so much, buddy.
Absolutely. That is Chico Borman joining us on the show today. Rob, it is crazy just how much talent that Ohio State team had last year. And which is crazy, just their best player isn't even draft eligible and not close to being draft eligible off last year's team. I mean, the best player on their team was Jeremiah Smith, who would be the number one player taken in this year's draft class, and he is a college sophomore heading into this season.
I mean, I know why fans don't like that team in hindsight, because I feel like that Ohio State team is the poster child for NIL and everything people hate about NIL, because they went out and they used free agency to buy up a title team. Like that is what Ohio State did. Like Joshua Simmons, the player the Chiefs could draft, transfer from San Diego State. Oh, he's one of the best ones in the group of five. He's coming here. Will Howard, K-State fans, you guys didn't want him back as Avery Johnson. They went out and they bought the best transfer quarterback likely available. Like they went out and Judkins was at Ole Miss. We went out and purchased a team. That's what Ohio State did.
Yeah, I mean, that's the game, man. That is absolutely the game in college football. We'll get back to the NFL draft in just a little bit. If you guys will allow me to take a quick nostalgic detour here, I promise it won't take very long. Today, Jimmer Fredette announced his retirement from the game of basketball. Now, he wasn't in the NBA. He was doing some international overseas. He also was on the 3-on-3 team that competed in the most recent Olympics. And thinking back to Jimmer Fredette's career, it made me a little bit sad, and this is why. I don't know if we will ever get back to that era of college basketball. I don't know if we'll ever get back to college basketball in an era where individual players mattered the way that Jimmer mattered his last year at BYU. You remember, Jimmer was must-see television. He was box office. He was one of the biggest stories in sports when he was in college. And I think people just knew going into it, yeah, this probably isn't going to work in the NBA, but I don't care. Every college basketball player that has kind of reached that level, they have been a player that was a one and done that we were expecting, hey, this is a comet. Zion, when he was at Duke, he's only going to be here for 8 months. You need to enjoy Zion while he's here. When you think back to this past season with Cooper Flagg, kind of the same thing. Jimmer is going to be the last college player, it feels like, where you just had to be there to understand how big of a deal it was when he was in college. Like, I'm not sure 10, 15 years from now, when you explain to your kids or your grandkids about college basketball, I don't think they will understand why Jimmer was the star that he was. Or that a college basketball player who didn't really have an NBA potential was such a big deal the way that he was. It made me sad that era in college basketball just feels like it's over. Maybe that's a little hyperbolic. Maybe that is extreme. But who's been Jimmer Fredette since Jimmer Fredette? I mean, it's not like Jimmer was out of college a couple of years ago. We're talking about this was over a decade ago that Jimmer was in college. Have we had anybody close to this since Jimmer's last year in BYU was in 2011? We're talking about 14, 15 years of college basketball. Have we had any player that wasn't a one and done that you thought reached his level of popularity and also played 4 years at one school?
Buddy Hield?
I don't think Buddy Hield was popular like Jimmer was. Buddy Hield was a great college player. Don't get me wrong. I don't feel like Buddy Hield, like Jimmer was a thing his senior year. I don't really feel like Buddy Hield reached that level of popularity and kind of crossed over in that way. Not the way that Jimmer Fredette did.
I mean, I think you're right. I think Jimmer was a bigger deal than Buddy Hield, but he was an era. I think part of it too with Jimmer was he was at BYU, so the games were at night. So you had to make a point to watch Jimmer if you were going to watch. It wasn't like watching pick a player in the. It wasn't like watching, Stephon Castle at UConn. Not that he's that same player. It's easy to watch Castle at UConn. Watching BYU in 2012, 2013 was you had to really dedicate yourself to staying up and doing it.
No, absolutely. I'm looking at it. I mean, Jimmer's senior year at BYU was just, Rob, he shot 40% from three, and he averaged 28 and 5. He averaged 28 and 5 his last year at BYU. I'm telling you, it was one of those things. Those of you that watch college basketball and remember, he was a rock star. That's what he was in college. He was an absolute rock star his last year at BYU. He was phenomenal to watch. Congratulations to Jimmer Fredette for a phenomenal basketball career. He decided to call it quits today. All right, we'll get back to the NFL draft coming up on the other side. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
Hey, it's Cole Reagans from the Kansas City Royals. You're listening to The Drive with CDOT on 96.5 The Fan.
Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
At Shane Company, we know getting engaged is a big decision. But once you know, you know. That's the way our customers feel when they choose a Shane Company engagement ring. They walk into a warm welcome and walk out with their dream ring, knowing they got it right. For almost 100 years, we've been offering personalized shopping experiences. And we're in it way past the honeymoon, with a free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, cleanings, repairs, and resizing for life. Shop with us at shaneco.com or at your neighborhood store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
What's up, baseball fans? It's time to swing big on your bets this season. Step up to the plate with an odds boost token from BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. No opt-in is required. Just log into your BetMGM account to receive your odds boost token. Then, place a bet on any MLB game and activate your token. If your boosted bet hits, you'll score a bigger payout. No matter the showdown, BetMGM is your betting home for baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. Must be 21 years of age or older. This U.S. promotional offer not available in Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary and expire in 1 to 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start May 14th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
Why do other agents have such a hard time selling your property? It's because they don't know how to price it correctly. But we know someone who does. Dawn Sharp and her team. Experience the Dawn Sharp team difference for yourself. The Sharp Homes team can give you options. Do you want to skip the showings and open houses and go straight to sold? Contact them to discuss their instant offer program. Contact the only agent I would trust if I needed to sell my home. It's Dawn Sharp with the Sharp Homes team, brokered by Epic Realty. Google them at Sharp Homes Team or pay them a visit at at homesforsaleandkc.com.
Prices are going up everywhere. Tariffs may drive up costs across the country, but not at Legacy Box.
Why? Because we're proudly 100% American made. Every tape, film reel, and photo you send stays right here in the USA, digitized by skilled technicians who know your memories are priceless.
Introducing the Legacy Box All-American Sale. Just $9 per tape. Not $15, not $12, just $9.
We're the nation's #1 digitizer, trusted by over 1 million families because we've made it simple. Just fill your Legacy Box with old tapes, film reels, and photos. We'll digitize them by hand and return everything, plus digital copies on the cloud you can relive and share forever.
With Legacy Box, your memories are safe from tariffs and safe from time. Heat, humidity, and age are already destroying your family's history, so take advantage of our limited time $9 tape sale.
Visit legacybox.com/value to lock in savings today. That's legacybox.com/value. Legacy Box, American made, trusted by families.
What's up, baseball fans? It's time to swing big on your bets this season. Step up to the plate with an odds boost token from BetMGM, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. No opt-in is required. Just log into your BetMGM account to receive your odds boost token. Then place a bet on any MLB game and activate your token. If your boosted bet hits, you'll score a bigger payout. No matter the showdown, BetMGM is your betting home for baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. Must be 21 years of age or older. This U.S. promotional offer not available in Mississippi, New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. For New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. For Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. For Massachusetts, 1-800-327-5050. For Iowa, 1-800-BETS-OFF. For Puerto Rico, 1-800-981-0023. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary and expire in 1 to 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Here's traffic brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
There's debris in the roadway, still blocking 2 right lanes of eastbound 70 just past the Blue Ridge cutoff, contributing to those slowdowns eastbound 70 out of the 435 exchange. Seeing things heavy out of the downtown loop and into the downtown loop over the Bond Bridge. And a multi-car crash now closing 2 left lanes, northbound lanes of 35 right at Shawnee Mission Parkway. Heavy back to 69 Highway. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
Hey, it's Cole Reagans from the Kansas City Royals. You're listening to The Drive with C-Dot on 96.5 The Fan.
Couple of things. Someone on the text line texted in, Shedeur Sanders is just Dak Prescott. Changed my mind. I replied to him and said, that would be a good thing. He replied and said, good for money and maybe the playoffs, but I'd argue not good enough for a Super Bowl ring, at least not yet. I would follow back that you guys probably would have told me 3 years ago you couldn't win one with Jalen Hurts, and you did. Now, I think Dak Prescott different past his prime, but I think you guys understand the point that I'm making. If you think that Shedeur Sanders can be Dak Prescott, he should go number 2 overall. Like, I think that Cam Ward is a better prospect than he is, but right now, if you were telling me you could press the button, and if you are the Cleveland Browns, you know for a fact you are getting Dak Prescott, you should take him with the number 2 overall pick. Like, I don't even think that's arguable if you were Cleveland, if you got a chance to take Dak Prescott. Where then I would say the hard part is you need to figure out how to put better parts around him. We've seen that you can go to the Super Bowl and not need a premier quarterback. I don't think Philadelphia has a premier quarterback. They have the best running back in the NFL. They have maybe the best offensive line. They have maybe the best 1-2 at wide receiver and a really good tight end. And oh yeah, maybe a top 5 defense. If you could build the rest of your roster like that, I don't think you need Patrick Mahomes to win the Super Bowl. You can go to the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. You better have Christian McCaffrey on your team. You better have Deebo Samuel. You better have all of those things. If you were telling me that you think Shedeur Sanders can be Dak Prescott, I would argue taking him with the number 2 overall pick is the smartest thing that you can do.
Yeah, I also think, I feel like sometimes with the draft, and I'm probably a victim of this as well, we hold these guys to the standard of, well, can you win a Super Bowl with him? There's levels of success with a draft pick other than Super Bowl. Like, if Shedeur Sanders turns into Dak Prescott, that's a success as a first-round draft pick. If he turns into who's a good quarterback in the league that hasn't won? Another example in that vein. You still are like, oh, that's a success. Josh Allen, Bills fans throw a parade. That's a massive draft win. I feel like sometimes we look at the draft as too black and white. Did he win? Is he going to win a Super Bowl? Yes or no? Is not the only criteria we should hold quarterbacks to. Like, if Jackson Dart turns into Alex Smith or Kirk Cousins, yeah, the Saints are going to have a question on their hands about contract number 2, but that's a win at pick 9 if they do that.
If you think that Jackson Dart's going to be Kirk Cousins, I would take him. The Giants should take him at 3.
He should be. Yeah,
the Giants take him at 3.
He should go way ahead of 9.
The Giants should take him at 3.
I feel like the draft and the player in the league, we hold to different standards. Like, as a draft pick, Kirk Cousins is a win. Maybe you don't pay him, and there's reasons why you have to move on. But yeah, there's levels between Super Bowl or bad pick.
Yeah, I just think at least when it comes to quarterback, I think there are obviously different tiers. Like, there are franchise quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, those guys. And then I would say there is another group of quarterbacks if they are very situational dependent. That's what I think Jalen Hurts is. I think he's very situational dependent. You got to have a good enough organization to create a really, really strong situation for that quarterback. But just with the scarcity of QBs in the league and how hard it is to find that really, really difficult quarterback, I don't think you can pass on it. Someone on the text line says, Dak is garbage. Stop lying to the listeners. I don't think that Dak Prescott's a bad quarterback at all. I guess maybe where I'm just different with you guys is I think once you get outside the top, 5 quarterbacks in the league, I think there are about 10 quarterbacks that are largely interchangeable, and we are then debating the parts around them. Baker Mayfield was bad for the first 5 years of his career. You gave him Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and a good tight end, and magically Baker Mayfield got pretty decent at playing football. Geno Smith was bad at one point. Sam Darnold was a bust at one point. You gave him Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and Aaron Jones. He just made $40-something million. I just think that for a lot of these quarterbacks, it is so dependent on the players you put around them, offensive line, scheme, running back, all of those things. Now, there's some quarterbacks that don't need those things. The Chiefs have one of those quarterbacks. The Chiefs last year had a below average running back room. They had their number 1 and number 2 wide receiver hurt for most of the year. Their tight end is on his last leg, and they still went to the Super Bowl. That ain't everybody's existence. You better have some other things in place if you want to go to the Super Bowl, because I think Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback that can take the Chiefs to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't think that you are able to elevate what offensive pieces they had if you don't have Patrick Mahomes. Not if you have a shell of Travis Kelce and you're getting 3.4 yards per carry from your number 1 running back. The fact that the Chiefs made the Super Bowl with that is a testament to how good Patrick Mahomes is. All right, I have this question. We'll get back to the draft in just a little bit. I actually heard this question on the Bill Simmons podcast, and I thought it was a really good question. So I wanted to get Rob's opinion on this. I've not asked Rob this question. Rob, what is the city that you have been to the most because you've been to their airport, but you have never been to their city before? Because I was thinking this question when it got asked before. The answer for me is Austin. I've been to the Austin airport at least 3 times. Really nice airport, really spacious. You look around and you're like, hey, you know what? Austin might be a really good time. I've never left the Austin airport, not a single time, not for anything. I've never left the airport. I've probably been to that airport like 3 or 4 times. What's the city for you that you've been to their airport, but you have never actually been to the city?
There's 2 that spring to mind. One is a terrible airport, a terrible, no good airport, and that's Atlanta. I'm in Atlanta a lot. Like, as a kid, you'd go to Disney. They wouldn't have a direct flights to Orlando, so you'd stop off in Atlanta. I also have family down in South Carolina. Sometimes you'd stop off in Atlanta. You were going to whatever. You stop off in Atlanta. Horrible airport. I think when I came back from my honeymoon, I was in Atlanta. Just no good, bad time. The other airport I get caught a lot in is Charlotte. And that's because I got family in South Carolina. So you can't fly direct to South Carolina. You got to hit a hub in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then you fly down. So Charlotte and Atlanta, I've never stepped outside security at those airports.
I feel like those kind of cities that are hubs are going to be a lot of people's answer on the text line, 913-586-7965. Like Houston, Chicago, Atlanta. I feel like those are the kind of ones that just, you can't get there direct from Kansas City, so you got to stop in one of those places to then go to where you actually want to go. That's what it always is for me in Austin. Like anytime I've gone to Mexico, you can't fly direct. You got to stop in one of those two places. So that's why I've been to Austin, Texas's airport a couple of times. You love Austin.
It's an incredible, get out of the airport in Austin.
You love Austin. Everybody has that city that they just love. You love Austin, Texas.
If Austin, Texas was drivable, I would be there a lot more often.
No, I know you would.
It's got great food. It's got live music. It's got a great bar scene. You get the college town atmosphere at a certain part of town. It just checks all the boxes. I wish they were still in the Big 12 so I could go watch KU play Texas more often in Austin. I'm not going to go down there to watch Georgia take on Texas in basketball. That sounds lame.
Yeah, you feel the way about Austin that I feel about Phoenix. Like, I love Phoenix.
You do love Phoenix.
I think Phoenix is the best city to live in America.
I like Phoenix, but I don't know if there's to do in Phoenix outside of
every time I've gone to Phoenix, I absolutely loved it. The weather was great. There was a lot to do. I love Phoenix. That's the way you feel about Austin. That's the way I feel. Text line 913-586-7965. What is the city that you've been to the most because of their airport, but you've actually never been to their city? Rob gave you his. I gave you mine. We'll read some of your texts coming up on the other side. All right, we got a lot to get into. We are closing in on round one of the NFL draft. We also got to talk a little bit of Royals as they won yesterday. Keep it right here. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Chiefs football. 96.5, The Fan, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this. Here's traffic, brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today and get the money you deserve. Car wreck? Remember, Mike's got this.
There's debris in the roadway, still blocking two right lanes of eastbound 70 just past the Blue Ridge cutoff, contributing to those slowdowns eastbound 70 out of the 435 exchange. Seeing things heavy out of the downtown loop and into the downtown loop over the Bond Bridge. And a multi-car crash now closing two left lanes, northbound lanes of 35 right at Shawnee Mission Parkway, heavy back to 69 Highway. I'm Lori Pearson, 96.5, The Fan Traffic.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors. Like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Hey, it's NBA champion Bill Wennington. It's the best time to be a basketball fan. All the thrills and the playoff drama, done sitting on the sidelines and ready to win some real cash? Check out Pick 6 from DraftKings. When it comes to basketball payouts, DraftKings Pick 6 posterizes the competition, including prize picks. Hit all your picks and score higher minimum payouts on Pick 6 Plus. Even more cash if you outscore the competition.
Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code 965. That's code 965 for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins. Only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. Classes start May 14th. Apply now and save with no application fee. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is letting everyone know about great debt relief options now available to help people with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of your credit card debt. Get a free debt relief consultation when you call 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040. 800-586-4040.
It's here, Diamonds Direct's annual spring sale. Take an extra 20% off our already renowned prices. Plus, book an appointment and get an additional $100 off your purchase. That's 20% off plus $100 off store-wide. Explore an expanded selection of trending engagement ring settings, his and hers wedding bands, must-have fine jewelry, and more. But hurry, this limited-time sale ends April 27th, and we're even open this Sunday. Don't miss out. Visit DiamondsDirect.com for details.
It's the spring sales event at Rob Sight Ford, and I'm here with the man himself, Rob Sight. Rob, you already stole the spotlight. Now what are you trying to take?
Just your attention, Kevin, and maybe a few trade-ins. Now, we've got up to $14,000 off new Fords with employee pricing, plus our own dealer discount.
$14,000. That's hotter than your Sunday barbecue.
Exactly. And unlike your burgers, these deals won't dry out. We've got hard-to-find inventory, huge trade-in values, and our non-commissioned sales team makes everything so easy.
No pressure, just real help. Even I'll admit it, it's the best place in Kansas City to buy a car, and I don't hand out compliments lightly, or seconds.
That's a fact. And don't forget, we're Kansas City's top-rated Ford dealer on Google. 4.8 stars, nearly 3,000 reviews, and 0 grill marks.
All right, Rob, I'll give it to you, man. You're cooking up some real value over there.
Come see us at 135th and State Line, or visit robsight.com. But hurry, these deals are sizzling and inventory is moving fast.
And tell him Rob sent you. No guarantees, but he might throw in a hot dog.
Ring the bell. We've done it again. Golden Oak Lending has lowered rates to 4.875 fixed. Lower your monthly payment, get cash out, pay off credit cards, and best of all, make no mortgage payments for 2 months. Lock in this incredible 4.875 rate and get your cash in as little as 14 days. Call 913-890-GOLD.
Golden Oak Lending cured my blues.
5.81 APR, FHA, 15-year, 20% equity, qualified credit. Additional terms apply. NMLS 114937.
Your chance to win $965 plus an autographed Chiefs helmet as part of our draft contest when we broadcast live from the Landing in Liberty during the first round on April 24th. The Fans Draft Party. 96.5 The Fan. KFMC FM and AM. HD1 and HD2 Kansas City. An Odyssey sports station.
All right, congratulations on getting through your 9 to 5. Thank you so much for listening. It is The Drive on 96.5 The Fan. We only have one segment because of the Royals, so we have a lot to get into in a very short amount of time. I want to read part of this story to you guys, and then I promise you we will move on. We have spent a lot of time talking about the stadiums, and to be completely honest with you, we do a lot of talking and nothing has changed about it. There'll be some report, that report will get shot down. There'll be a meeting, nothing happens with the meeting. It's just a lot of action for a lot of inaction. So there is a story today in the Kansas City Star, and the headline reads, "The clock is ticking for the Chiefs and the Royal Stadium plan. Is Missouri doing enough?" Now, I'm going to tell you the answer to this question. The answer is hell no. That is the answer. It's not no, or they could be doing better. That's not the answer to the question. Now, I'm going to read you part of this story, and I would encourage you to go on the Star's website and read the rest of the story for yourself because it is a comedy piece. Not a comedy piece because of how it's written. It's a comedy piece because of the characters in the story. With less than a month left in this year's legislative session, Missouri lawmakers have largely taken no steps to provide public support for new stadiums for the Chiefs and the Royals. How is this even possible? You have had a year to figure this out. Do you guys not understand the seriousness of what we are talking about? You've already lost one NFL team. You want to make it two? We have to tell you guys the benefit of having an NFL team and a Major League Baseball team in your state. You've taken largely no steps to provide public support. Well, I'm telling you, it ain't all going to be funded privately. It's going to require some public support. You guys, it is your job to put that together. They got less than a month left in this. Just no steps. We're just taking our time. We're figuring it out. We're still arguing about things. That's all they do on the Missouri side in relation to this topic. Kansas, they got all their ducks in a row. It's beautiful over there. Everybody's agreeing with everybody. Everybody's slapping five. They think they got this in the bag. They largely think they got this in the bag because of their opponent, because of you. Let me continue on reading this. State lawmakers are divided on the reason for the lack of forward momentum. They can't even agree on why they disagree. Think about that. State lawmakers are divided on the exact reason for the lack of forward momentum. That's how bad it's going. Right now, if I opened up the text line and said, hey, why do you think the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl? We get 17 different answers on why you think they lost. We can't even agree on what the reason was they got beat so bad. That's how Missouri is getting beat. They can't even agree. It then goes on to say this. But the top lawmaker in the Missouri House says he wants to see local officials in Jackson County and Kansas City come up with a plan first before state legislators move forward with measures that would provide public funding for one or more stadiums. It also goes on to read, and this one is the doozy to me. This is from the Missouri House Speaker. Quote, I think more and more it's going to look like Jackson County and Clay County are going to have to split the teams to make the deal work for both teams to stay in Missouri. Well, then both teams ain't staying in Missouri. Both teams aren't staying then if this is the plan that you guys will come up with. Not when the other plan, it sounds better than your plan because you don't have a plan. You don't have a plan. We sat here, Rob, a month ago, and we had a Missouri politician, and he told us that the Kansas offer was fake, that it was fabricated, that it was trumped up. You guys don't have any plan. So their fake plan sounds better than your non-existent plan. How are these the people in charge? How are these the people? We can move on from this. I have one final thought. When we die, there are things that will go on our tombstone, right? Things that will go on our tombstone. I'm not talking about like father or husband, or I'm talking like things you accomplished, you know? On the tombstone of some of these politicians, it is going to read, you lost the Chiefs. That's going to be the number one bullet point. That's the number one thing you accomplished in life. You lost the Chiefs? How? You had a 50-year head start, a 50-year lead. How did you lose them? Missouri's embarrassing. I don't say that to be confrontational. I don't say that to shock jock. I say that because I don't know how you can hear how the Missouri side is doing and feel good about this. How you can feel good about the fight. There's no world in which the Chiefs are moving to North Kansas City. There's no world that that's happening. So now you're telling me that the best case scenario for Missouri is that the baseball team goes up north and that they want the Chiefs to rebuild a stadium where they are? That's the plan? Well, then the Chiefs are moving to Kansas then. I don't even know why we're arguing about this anymore. Maybe this is the quote that I needed. The Chiefs are moving to Kansas because Missouri's incompetent. This is the Harlem Globetrotters going up against the Washington Generals. That's what you're seeing right now. They're running a clinic around the politicians in the state of Missouri. A clinic. So when you get in your car from Lee Summit and you got to drive that 40 minutes to go to the game, thank Mayor Quinn Lucas. When you got to drive over there, thank Missouri House Speaker. Thank Frank White. That's who you should thank. Thank all of them. They should take a class picture together for what they've been able to accomplish. And they should put that, when you walk into the stadium in Kansas, that should be the first thing you see. This stadium was brought to you by these individuals, and they're taking a class photo. You know that picture they take when your team goes to the Super Bowl? All of them should come together and take that picture. Embarrassing display. I don't have anything else, Rob. I know you're about to have some Kansas laughs and jokes at my expense, but I'm fully prepared to get in my vehicle and drive to 135th and Knoll to watch a baseball game, and then we're going to have to go over by Cabela's in order to watch the football team play. I am prepared for that.
I was talking to some people from 98.1 earlier today. Did you know that there was a group of, I don't know if they are legislators, they're a group of people in Jackson County who tried to oust Frank White today? Didn't work. Frank White still very much in charge. And you know what that makes me? Happy as a Kansan. You know, they should re-retire his number once Arrowhead comes across state lines.
No, that's crazy. Can you imagine if they retired Frank White? Can you imagine a world in which they put Frank White in the Chiefs' Ring of Honor? They're going to put his name next to Lynn Dawson.
Right outside the new stadium, there'll be a really nice statue of Lamar Hunt, Patrick Mahomes, Frank White.
Yeah, Frank White. Oh, my goodness. Someone on the text line says they can't even get FanDuel right. Good point. I can't even argue that. FanDuel works perfectly fine in Kansas, works perfectly fine everywhere else. They can't even figure out DraftKings. We trust them to figure out the Chiefs. This is the only Royals thought I have for today. I just have one thought. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I know yesterday it was not one of those banner wins for the Royals. The Royals, they really struggled yesterday against the Colorado Rockies. Like, it was a real fight yesterday with the Rockies. It was hard to see which team had 3 wins when I was watching them yesterday. I do not care. I've put my finger in my ears and I've just la, 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 la. I've just made noises while you talk. I'm not listening. I don't care. Just win. I honestly, it does not matter to me the how. I don't care about the process. All I care about is the results. That's all I care about. That's it. I don't care about anything else. Nothing. Oh, well, what about, I don't want to talk about it. They won 1 game against the Rockies. They need to win one of these next 2 games. That's it. They need to win one of the next 2 games. And if they do that, great. Fantastic. Doesn't matter. I don't care how they get there. You cannot lose a series to the Colorado Rockies and tell me you're serious. You cannot do it. Especially coming off the heels of you've been losing nonstop for a week. So figure it out. Figure out a way to win. It'd be great if you won today and then have a chance to sweep them tomorrow in the day game with Reagan's on the mound. That'd be the best thing that happened this season with the Royals. They'll be, 12-14 after that happens? You're right there. You're right there. That's all that matters.
If they win today and tomorrow, they're 13-14. So you're home free?
Right there. Someone on the text line asked if they could nominate Frank White for Kansan of the Year. I don't think that's strong enough, actually. Kansan of the Millennium is what he should be. Kansan of the Century. He should be in the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. Think about great Kansas people. David Booth. I mean, there's a lot of great people on that side of state line. Frank White doing fantastic work. It's crazy to me how you work for Jackson County but are doing so much for Wyandotte and Johnson County. I mean, it's amazing. He's a secret agent is what he is. You know,
he's definitely in that position for as long as he wants to be. Jackson County legend,
get rid of him.
County executive for life. That's it's like a Supreme Court justice. He gets to keep that until he resigns or passes away, right?
Yeah, I'm starting to think that it was all just telling you. He got voted in to ruin your property taxes and move the teams across state line. That man is you can't be worse at your job than Frank White is. That's next level how bad that he's been. Really bad. You know, I don't want to talk about that anymore. We only have 10 minutes left in the show. Let's talk about positive things, Rob. Hit the button.
Your workday is over.
Oh, yeah.
You're headed home. and now you're stuck in traffic. Time to get caught up on the biggest stories in Kansas City and around the country with CDOT and Rob. It's time for the hits. Number 1.
CDOT, as always, hits are brought to you by Baker University, where graduates earn higher salaries and land jobs faster than any other university in Kansas. Apply today at bakeru.edu.
All right, so we are winding down our draft preparation and getting you ready for round 1 of the NFL draft. I feel good about the Chiefs going into this year's draft class. I really do. I think you have to feel good if you are a Chiefs fan. I don't really think there are many things that you say the Chiefs have to come away with in this draft class. In fact, I only feel like there's one thing. The only thing on my list that I think the Chiefs have to come out of with this year's draft class is a running back. If this draft class is in fact generational, the way that it was described on this show 2 days ago.
In terms of year on year, which class is going to look the most special historically, 5 years from now? I think it's going to be running back. I just think there's so much talent at it. There's other good classes, but running back to me looks like once in a decade sort of class.
If you were telling me that this is a once in a decade like class, you owe it to your quarterback to get one of them and insert them in this offense. Maybe we disagree on who that player should be, but ultimately, I think we, as people that follow the team, cover the team, cheer for the team, etc., all want the same thing. Get one of them. I have maintained this position since day 1 of the offseason. Get younger and more explosive at skill positions. A major problem for the Chiefs offense last year. They had no explosiveness in the run game and couldn't consistently run the football. Now, you might think that it's because of the offensive line. I think a lot of that is because of the parts and weapons that they had in the run game. You don't get explosive run plays from Kareem Hunt. That's not what he was. And you certainly don't get explosive run plays from a running back that is coming off a broken fibula the way that you had last year. So the Chiefs have an opportunity to reset. You get Kareem Hunt, and now you're using him in the correct role as a third down back. You have Isaiah Pacheco, who now has a full offseason to recover heading into a contract year. And you draft one of these running backs, and you hope that you got the right one. The Chiefs owe it to themselves to take a running back. That is at the top of my wish list if we are talking about what I want the Chiefs to do. Now, I don't want them to draft one in round 1. I think you can find value at 63 or 66. But for the Chiefs to have 3 picks in the top 70, I want one of those picks to be a running back. I think you can get a really, really good one. They haven't put him with a 1,000-yard running back since Kareem Hunt in 2018. Think about all the success that the Chiefs have had. They haven't put him around one of the top 15 running backs in the National Football League. One of the ways you can take pressure off of him is to not put him in a position to get hit and turning around and handing the ball off. Usually works when you do that. So that is what I want them to do. I would then say it'd be nice for the Chiefs to get an offensive tackle in this year's draft class. Whether you think he can play left or right tackle, I honestly don't care which one. But it would be great if the Chiefs, whether it's at 31, whether it's at 66, took another swing on a tackle and you put yourself in a great spot because it is not an immediate day 1 need. I don't care where they draft their tackle. He is not playing this year. You spent the money on Jalen Moore, who makes $20 million this year, guaranteed. And you also have Jawan Taylor, who has the 3rd biggest cap hit on the team. You're locked in on left and right tackle for this upcoming season. So maybe you draft a player and you play him at guard, and then next year you play him at tackle. Maybe that's the plan. But they are in a position where they can think for the future with a draft pick. Now, maybe you want to go for a more immediate day 1 need. Maybe you want to put somebody alongside Chris Jones. Maybe you want to play somebody on the outside and play them at defensive end. Those would be great things to pick up. Maybe you feel like you need another corner. where you've got Christian Fulton, you've got Trent McDuffie, you got Jalen Watson, you got a couple of other players, and you want to throw another young player into the mix. I really think because of the Chiefs' offseason and the way that they handle free agency, I think they go into this draft with just a lot of possibilities of what they can do. And for the most part, I think the board is really wide open for them to take the best player available. And at least when it comes to the second and early third round, I think we are going to look at the board and think that the best player available is a running back. And the Chiefs just so happen to need running back this offseason.
We actually agree on running back. We also agree don't take it at 31 or my head will explode. But I'm sure Brett Veach has learned from the errors of his past. And I don't think he's doing that again tomorrow night. So that's lots of good news there. I actually think the more we talk about this draft, I come to the following conclusion. The Chiefs are in a perfect spot because this draft does not have stars. That's what Daniel Jeremiah keeps saying. It's a starter, not star draft. Well, you know what the Chiefs really don't need? They don't need stars. They just need starters. They might need starters in 25. They might need starters in 26. But they just need starters. So I think they are in a near no-lose situation. If they take a running back this weekend in the third or fourth round, let's say they took DJ Gittens in the fourth round. Let's use a local guy as the example. And he mostly redshirted in 2025. I'd be fine with that pick because he's a good player. He can play in 2026. If they pick a tackle, Joshua Simmons, coming off the PCL injury, and they said, hey, ease your way back in. We got Jalen Moore. We'll figure out if it's you or Jalen in 2026 at left tackle, and the other one of you kicks out to the right tackle with Juwan Taylor. I'd be cool with that pick. If they took a wide receiver, if they took a Luther Burden, we'll just stay local. And they said, hey, we don't really have a long-term plan for Hollywood Brown on the team, but Luther Burden can eventually fill that role. He'll get some usage in 2025, but we're really aiming toward 2026 to him be a full-time starter. That'd be good too. The Chiefs, because of the lack of high-end talent in this draft and what they already have on their roster, they're in a pretty good spot. There's only a few things they would do this weekend where I'd be like, what is happening? Outside of that, I feel like it's a nice, relaxing draft for the Chiefs.
I agree. I think it's a nice, relaxing draft, too. I think that's where at least a lot of the buzz for the Chiefs is kind of gone this year. I think the Chiefs did a really good job in free agency, patching up the holes, and they've patched those holes up with players that you know. Like, I think for the most part, outside of running back, because I think there's like a clear need, I think the Chiefs are pretty solid everywhere else. Going to get Jalen Moore, that was the best available option. There was no scenario in which the Chiefs, in this year's draft class, were drafting a left tackle and having him start this season. You tried that last year with Kingsley, and I'm going to guess that the tackle prospect that you could potentially pick up might be worse than Kingsley Suamataia. There was no chance you were doing that. At wide receiver, you essentially bring back the room that you had from last August, and we all felt pretty good about that wide receiver room if guys could stay healthy, knock on wood. You then look at the secondary. You look at this team is pretty strong on a lot of different places on the board. So now the goal is simple. Take good players, take starters. That's it. Take good players, take starters. Like, I don't even think they need to go D-line. It'd be great if they went D-line. If they got a defensive tackle, I'm not against it. If they got a rush edge, not against it this year. I don't think they need to come away with one, though. I think they really put themselves in a good spot where they can let the board play how it mays. And they can take their chances, take their swings, be conservative in spots. I think the Chiefs are in a really advantageous place this NFL draft cycle. I really feel like they are.
Like I said, there's only a handful of things the Chiefs could do Thursday, Friday, where I would be puzzled and I'd be wondering what's going on over there. What are we doing? But generally speaking, like outside of, middle linebacker and a first-round running back and I guess a safety, I feel like they can take really anyone and most Chiefs fans are going to walk away with, it's going to work either in 2025 or 2026. They're in a good spot.
Someone on the text line says, name 2 or 3 wide receivers or running backs, so you would take at 31 if they fall to us. I think there's only 3 players that I would take in that scenario. Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, or Travion Henderson. Those are the only 3 players that, to me, are worthy of taking a late first-round pick on if they're on the board. I think one of the kind of things to keep up with in the draft is if the Chiefs have a chance to take the 5th or 6th pass rusher and Luther Burden is on the board, what do they do? Like, I think that's a very intriguing storyline heading into tomorrow. We'll have more time to go through this. Tomorrow is actually going to be draft day, so certainly a lot to break down. We're also going to be tomorrow at the Landing in Liberty if you want to stop by and watch the draft with us. I'll catch you guys tomorrow after the Royals day game. Take care of yourself. It's The Drive.
The Drive with Carrington Harrison on your new home for Royals baseball. 96.5 The Fan. Brought to you by DM Injury Law. Have you or a loved one been in a car wreck? Contact DM Injury Law today.